but I've never been to a publisher like after the fact. I guess I could probably just say, I'm in town, I want to come visit. And hopefully they'd say yes.
Yeah,
But,
no, yeah, you should do that because I love meeting people, and I think, as long as you're not weird, I
uh-oh,
think it
uh-oh.
builds a.
It's time for Gab and Doodle.
Hey everybody, it's time for Gab and Doodle featuring me, Mark Hoffman, and my special guest who will be joining us very, very shortly. Today, I'm going to do this. I have a sketch so you can see what my sketch is. It's back to school season around here, and so we're going to have a back to school thing with kids coming off a bus and some dinosaurs in the school. And it'll be fun. I don't know where I'm going with it, but we'll figure it out as we go along. And then our guest today is the one, the only, oh, I don't want to put my sketch over there. The one, the only, Nila Aye, I think is how you say the last name. I'm going to have to check on that one. Who does these super adorable, cute sketches and characters and wonderful, wonderful books across the board. We got a couple of them here. We have Fearless Mirabelle and Meg, and then we have Starry Skies on hand here, which is this really cool spot gloss print. I don't know if you can see that. I assume you can. It shows up pretty nice there. About constellations. These are the two that we have on hand, but we're going to talk to them in just a minute. I'm going to flip back to me for a hot second. Ready? Whoop. Boop. There I am. And so we're going to have our guest in. As a reminder, we have all the videos are recorded, put on Instagram here, and then they are get dumped to YouTube later. So if you want to go watch them on YouTube, you can. Sometimes I fall behind on putting them up there, but I did just put up 3 this last weekend. So there's plenty of content. That's 12 hours worth of stuff for you to watch. That's plenty. And I have mentorships going on all the time. If you want to contact me, let me know through DM that you're interested, and I can give you information. Otherwise, let's let our guest in. I'm going to put in Ask Us Anything in the comments, which is standard fare. Boom, 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 boom. That says anything, ANYTGING, and it's going to autocorrect, and I know it is. It's called I do not type well on my phone. So let me pin that there. And then I'm going to invite in our special guest. Hello.
Hi, Mark. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good.
It worked. It
Do
worked.
you
And
know
there's
what?
sound.
It's just the waiting.
The waiting. Oh, like you're stressed. You were stressed waiting for it to start.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Now I'm on. I think I'll calm down now.
yeah, it's officially started. You are live. The internet is watching you. Every
This is
move you make.
amazing.
Don't pick your nose. Which I know you are prone to. The rumor on the street is that you are known for
You
picking your
know,
nose constantly.
yeah, I'll try not to burp or,
Yeah,
do anything embarrassing.
yeah. There you go. So do me a favor, because we didn't really have a chance to go over it the other day, but I'm always scared that I'm going to pronounce names wrong. And
You
so
pronounced it perfectly.
it's Nila,
Yep.
and then A,
A.
like yeah, like I'm voting AYE. That's the way I would. Yeah, okay. I just thought maybe there was some other pronunciation that I was missing, and
Some
so
fancier pronunciation.
yeah.
Most people say Nila Aye because I think maybe in England
Oh
it's
yeah, yeah.
so they often get it wrong, which I don't mind because I'm used to it. But so you're the first person that's actually just got it right off the bat. So we're off to a
It's,
flying start.
it was a lucky guess. No, I did some research online, like trying to figure out exactly how to say it, and that was the best guess they could give, because it was like different regions had different slight variations, and I was like, oh, I know I'm going to get it wrong, because it's so simple. Like it's such a short name that people like gloss over it Where if it was
Yeah.
like, some crazy, like, long 12-letter long thing, they'd be like, okay, I need to be very careful. But I get called all sorts of variations and misspelled all the time, even though it's a common name too. So, okay, so welcome. Thank you for
very
joining
much for
us.
having me.
Yeah, not a problem. We're excited to have you on and excited to sort of hear from you and talk to you and see you work. I said in the ad that I don't use the word precious very often, but I think that your work really is precious. And I don't know if that's like a good word or a bad word. I think it's a good word in my mind, but like it's so sweet and cute and almost like delicate in a way, some of the line work and some of the characters that you do. And so that is not my realm. My realm is like characters that are asinine and not not well put together. They are not precious of any sort. So I'm excited to see how you work. But why don't you start off real quick by telling folks watching who you are and what you do?
Well, I'm Nila Aye. I've always been an illustrator. I think for the last 30 odd years. I don't want to count anymore.
Yeah, the way that
Leave
you
it
said that, it was like you didn't want to admit it, but you.
No. I've always been an illustrator. I've not done anything else apart from, Saturday jobs and stuff.
Yeah.
So I've only ever been an illustrator straight off the bat after college. Was lucky enough just to be able to work. Haven't always done children's books though. That's a relatively, I think about 7 years ago maybe I started.
What was it that you did prior?
I did lots of editorial work.
Yeah. Okay. That's right. That's right. I was trying to remember some of the research that I did. It's interesting how many people start out in like other careers and end up in kids' books and end up sort of going towards that sort of young audience. Was the editorial stuff that you did, was it like hard-hitting adult editorial, or was it sort of like family-friendly editorial?
No, it was very, well, like female-friendly. It was very much sort of like women's magazines, and it was really great at the time. It was good, honest work, and it was very fast moving. So deadlines were completely different. I'd often have clients ring up saying, "We're really desperate, we're really sorry, but we need to go to press tomorrow." And I would always somehow squeeze people in. And I think I just became known as the go-to person that if they were in a crisis, they could just run to.
Was that newspapers or was that magazines or
newspapers, magazines, sort of Sunday supplements for newspapers, and
newspapers
it's just fantastic as a freelance illustrator because you had that regular income coming in, and that really suited me at the time. Especially when I had, I think at the best sort of, I don't know, there was a 5-year sort of thing where it was amazing because I had about 4 columns on the go a week.
Wow, nice. That's what did they, out of curiosity, like I did editorial, but I did family friendly sort of like, I don't know, like local magazines and things of the sort. Nothing that was like hard hitting or anything of the sort, but it was really, I wouldn't say it was irregular, but it was not, there was no like consistency from one publisher of some sort. Was it something that they hired you in that instance where it was like, okay, we're going to hire you to do a column every week? Or was that sort of, you just found out every week? Like, hey,
they would say, we've got a regular column.
Oh, nice.
So it could be weekly. Some magazines were monthly, and they would like, would you be interested? And I'd be like, hell yeah.
Yeah. Steady income that you're not, mine just came out of nowhere, and it was always so random that there was no like, I mean, there were repeat offenders. That definitely happened, but it was not a monthly sort of situation. So I was always, clinging on to when's the next one coming in kind of situation.
Yeah, and it's scary, isn't it? It's scary when you just don't know what's going to happen. And you might go on holiday. This was back in the old days, before emails or smartphones. When you go on holiday, and I'd come back a bit sort of feeling a bit, I might have missed tons of work.
Yeah.
And my fax machine would be whirring. It's like, we've got a job, and there was no, I'm like, I'm so sorry, I went on holiday.
You just threw a dated reference in there with a fax machine, right? Like, I got home, I put my Jazz drive on my computer and my zip drive and turned
Yeah,
on my
all
fax.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was even before then. It was like fax machine, and I remember having to fax people my rough sketch, and I don't think, it wasn't very clear, and they'd kind of go, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that looks okay.
Looks
Let's
a
go
little
with that.
pixely on our end. Yeah, looks a little rough, but whatever.
A little bit, yeah, we think we get it.
Yeah. So now you've shifted to Kidlit, and I imagine it's you said there was consistency in the editorial side. Is Kidlit maybe a little less consistent just because it's longer term and stuff rolls in?
I think I've just been so lucky, Mark. I think it took a little while to get used to the longer time scales, but now it's like I'm booked up for like 2-3 years ahead.
Okay, good.
So that is even better.
Yeah. You're not
I can
booked up
even
for a
take
month.
longer breaths.
Yeah. That means you can go away on vacation and come back and know it's still there without any question.
Yeah. So that's great.
So today we're going to be making and talking and doing all sorts of fun stuff, but I want to sort of get a sense of, because I know you do a lot of digital work, and I think you said that you might be working traditionally. I don't remember what it was. No, maybe not. Maybe I'm getting it mixed up with someone else.
No. I've always worked digitally.
Okay.
So when I was at college, I think, people were just starting to use Apple Macs.
Yeah.
And it was a very new thing. And I love to jump on the next new thing. So I kind of just started doing all my work digitally. I mean, when I was at college, I was working traditional media.
Yeah.
But then I just jumped on. And I think that's what sort of gained traction for me, because people in magazines, they had never seen it. It was like, wow, this is cool. And I was working in Illustrator, or actually freehand at the time. I don't know if you remember freehand.
I remember freehand. I don't remember, I know the name and I know that I saw it and used it at some point, but I don't remember much about it.
It was rather clunky, I remember, at the time.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it was vector points, but it was very like, but art directors are like, wow, we love this. It looks so kind of characterful. It looks like a collage, because it literally looked like paper. I'd cut out bits of paper. It was very flat. So, that was just, jumping on that bandwagon at the time was a good sort of thing, I think.
You got ahead of the curve on
Slightly, yeah.
But so what are we going to use today then? What's the
So I was looking at all your wonderful feeds of past illustrators,
okay.
And I thought, well, most people are working traditionally, and I thought, so panic aside, I thought, well, maybe I'll use this as a way to push myself.
Okay, good.
Forward. So I'm very much out of my comfort zone, but that's okay.
Okay, that's
why I couldn't commit to, when you said, if you've got any ideas what you're going to draw, it's like, not really, I'm just going to go with the flow. So I've been practicing a lot prior to coming on here, thinking, oh my God, I don't know what to use. So we're going with mixed media, and we're just going to flow. And if it goes badly wrong, I'll just start a new piece of paper.
That's the best thing, I think, not necessarily that it needs to be traditional or anything of the sort, but the idea of testing yourself every once in a while and being willing to make mistakes is such a gamble and such a challenge for illustrators in general, because there's always this drive to hone your stuff in and make it really consistent and make sure it has the same voice and all this stuff, and then all of a sudden you give yourself the opportunity to really screw up, and it can be the scariest thing in the world. Or not knowing.
It's the most frustrating thing in the world.
Yeah.
Because what I've found is, it's going well, and then, it's not. I've ruined it now. And it's like, I've just wasted 2 hours.
Yep. No, all of my work always goes through this ebb and flow. And it goes poorly because of one mistake, and then 2 hours later, that one mistake is the best part of it, because you've changed other things, and then it goes through that dips all the time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you got to ride the wave, and
You've got
eventually,
to ride the wave, and I think I've just been trying to be really kind to myself and just
yeah,
think, I think what I've learned from the process of just doing it this week was the mistakes. Actually, you could just learn so much more from the mistakes than when it goes right. So, figuring out, oh, well, that didn't work. Let's try it again in a different way.
I mean, even today, I'm going to try doing a bit more line work in my pieces, which I don't do a lot of line work, but I'm going to see what happens. And I'm not sure whether I'm going to do it in paint or ink, or I'll figure it out. But there's always this challenge of like, okay, how can I do something a little different this time, knowing that there's a risk. It's right on that edge of falling off the cliff of some sort. At least in my mind, it's always on that edge. So, but you don't know what you're drawing at all. You're just going to go.
I think 10 minutes before we went live, I decided to go with something.
Okay, what are you doing? What's the plan? Not that we're going to hold you to it, but what's the idea? What's the sparkle that flashed in front of your eyes?
Well, I love drawing. I love painting. What I've realised is I don't like it when I draw in pencil first and then colour in. It doesn't work for me. I get too tight. And the whole thing about digital is you can become very tight doing digital work. So I don't want to become tight doing traditional work. I want to have the opposite of being quite loose and free. So I've tried doing the pencil outlines and having some kind of order, but it just doesn't work, and I end up, it just looks too contrived. Yeah. So I think I love drawing plants because you can just be organic and just get quite messy with it. So there's going to be lots of plants and greenery. And I think I'll probably just start drawing some plants just to loosen me up and help me relax.
Good.
And then I'm going to do a little image of just a little girl and a dog in a garden, just see how it goes.
I love it. I love it. I had a mentor the other day that was talking about that problem of getting tight, because I get really tight with things too. Like I used to, when I was painting all my books, I would graphite transfer down onto the board, which is basically like doing a layer in Photoshop where you turn it on and off, where I can look at it.
Oh, yeah.
And I realized the best thing for me is to not ever put the sketch on the surface and to have it off to the side. So I was talking to this guy who does digital work, and I said, print it out small. So it's this tiny little thing, and put it on your wall across the way. So you can't compare like edges to make sure that you hit the exact edge of where it is, that you basically have a sandbox that you can play in. And you have an idea, an inkling off to the side to draw from.
Yeah, because at the beginning I was just drawing whatever came to my mind, but then that was just too free and I didn't know what I was doing. So I kind of need some boundaries.
Yeah.
So I found like a sketch, because actually in one of your videos you were saying that you use an iPad to draw out your sketch.
Yep.
And I thought, I never thought of that. That's a good way of doing it, because then at least I've got some control.
What were you doing sketches with before?
What on the digital? What do you mean? Just painting?
Oh, I mean, like, okay, so I got you now. Never mind.
When I was painting, when I was trying painting stuff,
okay.
I was just making it up, but it was, it would go right or it would go wrong, and it was a bit hit and miss and a bit risky.
Yeah.
So but now I thought, actually, I'll listen to Mark. I'll follow the expert, and that's what he does. So I'm going to try that.
You need a map of where to go, but not necessarily the like every road. You just need sort of.
I don't need a sat nav. I just need a vague idea, a compass.
Gotcha. So today, the rules of engagement that I like to play by are: if you want, we're going to talk. We're going to make. If at any point you need to jump off and wrap for the night, because I know you're 5 hours ahead of us, I think, and so it gets late there. I understand. Just holler, and I'm happy to sort of send you off in a lovely manner, or you can stay the whole time, up to you. And then conversation wise, we'll talk business, we'll talk shop, we can talk about anything and everything. So anything that fascinates you or what have you, it's a conversation. It's not an interview, it's a conversation. So we can just go wherever. If I broach any topic, sometimes I get a little therapeutic in my questions. Like, how do you feel inside about this thing?
I love questions like that.
Yeah, if it gets too personal, holler, and we can jump ship. But otherwise, why don't we switch to our downshoots?
Okay, let's go.
Whatever setup you have. I have a feed here so I can see it. It's about a 10-second delay on it. But that feed will let me know sort of how we're set up and making sure everything's on screen and whatnot. But otherwise, let's switch around.
Okay. So, right, let's get this out.
There you're going.
This way.
So when you do the downshoot as well, you can pinch it and that can zoom in or zoom out depending on what you want to do. So you can get a wider shot or not, depending. There we go. I'm just watching the feed just to make sure. Someone's Sherry Linen illustration, I assume is talking about you, not me. Was saying that you're so young looking that it's a compliment. They were saying because you were talking about some of the tech. They were like, oh, that's from ages ago, but they were
from the ancient period.
Yes, the land before time. You were.
Yeah, exactly.
How many dinosaurs did you know?
Did I have capture?
You rode to school on a Stegosaurus's back, and so tell me a little bit, just like going back to the history side of things. Because this is Sherry Lennon said because you've been working for 30 years. That's where that comment comes from. So you were working in editorial and you shifted to sort of kidlit, and I'm sure editorial still comes into play periodically, but just that idea of like going towards kidlit. What was that decision? Was that something that you just got offered a job? Was that something that you made an active choice?
It was an active choice. Can you still hear me? I'm fiddling around with my AirPods, but they don't want to play. So it was an active choice because what happened was editorials the budgets dried up.
Okay.
And it happened over sort of quite slowly, but I started noticing, clients were sort of saying, oh, we don't have what we could have paid, what we paid you before. Our budgets have been slashed. So when you've been working with people for years and they sort of, you're used to having X amount of money per job from them, and then it gets halved, you kind of think, oh, well, that's not good. I don't want to go backwards in my career, you know. And they were like, we're really sorry, but, everything's been slashed. And it just carried on that way. And I think it's just people weren't buying magazines anymore. And there were the advertising budgets got, cut down and everything. So, so I was just forced. And then my agent was also at the time, she started a kidlit division.
Oh, okay.
And so I spoke to her and it just seemed to all, work quite well. And I thought, I'd love to do children's books. It was a passion of mine anyway. And I think at the start of my career, I actually went to see some publishers and I did do a few books, but the budgets were so bad that I just thought I can't actually survive on just doing this alone. So I never really it never really took off.
At a certain point it did, because you have enough books sort of lined up now.
Oh yeah, no, this was, so what I'm saying, this was going back like 30 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
So I had some meetings with publishers in London and they were very keen to get me started in the kidlit world then. But it didn't work out because I just couldn't believe how little their budgets were.
Have the budgets grown, or
not necessarily?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I don't think
no, they haven't. They haven't at all. What's happened is I got married, and then I have a partner that helps me out considerably.
Gotcha. So you can take on more passion projects.
Yeah.
In a sense. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I've got the support there, whereas before I was just having to pay for everything myself, so it just wasn't sort of maintainable.
Yeah.
Just doing the kidlits. Yeah.
I think this impression within Kidlit or outside of Kidlit, let's put it that way, looking back in it, that like once you get published, you're gonna like you're set. And in reality, I don't think that's the it does not pay as well as people think it does unless you are, you know, a household name that's been around for a long time and things of the sort. That it's sometimes you have to supplement, and so other illustrators have different types of jobs. Like I teach on the side. Some people do merchandising. Some people do editorial and advertising and all these other things. But there is a real love, at least on my end, there's a real love of Kidlit that means you're willing to do other things to maintain the ability to work in the publishing world. Is it something that when you originally approached it back in the day and now, do you think that you benefited? I mean, I assume you did, but did you benefit from that sort of delay of jumping into Kidlit? Like, would you be doing the same type of books back then?
Oh, that's a
Doing
good
now?
question.
Like,
I don't know. I mean, obviously, I've learned a lot. So, you know, I went away and then did 20 years in editorial. So I learned different skills. I learned how to work to briefs very well
yep.
and deadlines very, you know, and I worked quite quickly and I wasn't fazed by deadlines. In fact, I actually quite liked them to kind of keep me on track.
Mm-hmm.
And I love having briefs. Like, I think, you know, I get a bit lost if I'm just allowed to do anything I want.
So today, right now,
Yeah, like today, right now. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
it's funny because like in the teaching world, the thing that is probably the hardest assignment I can give a student is freedom. Is to say make what you want. And it is that idea of like as illustrators, because I'm teaching illustration primarily, that we crave input in some way, and so that idea of like wanting a brief. For those who don't know, a brief meaning like the parameters of the job, the things that the rules you have to engage in. And so that makes a lot of sense hearing that coming from you. My wife just wrote saying, so you're working with, it looks like, is it watercolor?
At the moment, I'm working. Yes, it's like that. These Japanese ones, kuretake.
Kuretake. Okay. How
Have
does
you
it
seen
spell it?
those?
Do you know the spelling of?
Yeah, Ku. What? Wait, hang on.
Okay.
Kuretake. So they're Japanese,
Yeah.
and they're just like watercolors, and they're just beautiful, sort of lacquered. I don't know how they how they differ from normal watercolors, but I just love the sort of different colors you can get.
What? So here's a question for you, and this is I've never really asked this question of anybody before, so you get to be the first to answer it. So you're someone who does digital primarily, and yet you have some traditional materials around. And I'm wondering, do you do traditional stuff on the side? Is this stuff that just was sitting in a closet somewhere that you pulled out? Like,
Um,
obviously you had them. You didn't go out and buy those today because when you held them up, there was, it was used.
I have
Uh,
used them.
yeah.
I think I love, like, it's a bit dangerous for me to go into art shops because I'm a bit like a kid in a candy store, and I get enticed by all the beautiful colors, and I think, oh, I want that, and I want to try that, and that looks amazing.
Yeah.
So I think I have bought things before, but then haven't been able to have the time to kind of spend experimenting with them.
Gotcha.
Because, you know, I've been sort of back to back with projects, digital projects, and then at the end of the day, it's just the last thing I want to do. I just want to relax. So I think actually you asking me to come on this has actually forced me to start playing with the stuff I've had, and I
Good.
didn't know how to use them.
Good. I mean, ultimately, this is going to sound a little weird, but it's kind of sad to know that there's people that don't get the chance to play all that often, because I've had quite a few people pop on here and say, like, I never get the chance to just sit down and draw. And I'm like, oh, I wish everybody had that sort of opportunity. I understand, like, sometimes you got to make ends meet, and you don't have time, or there's deadlines and things of the sort. But I'm glad that this is giving you an opportunity, whether it be playing with these materials or not, just the opportunity to like goof around for an evening is to me a positive thing across the board.
Definitely. And I think also for me, it's been a real learning curve of choosing which materials suit me and what I need them for. And that takes time. It's a real process, isn't it?
Yeah, it's I mean, it's taken me 20 plus years to figure out what I like to play with, and I'm sure it will change in a matter of, a year or two, that I'll probably be bored of it and shift again. But it takes time to know, to become friends with the material and know what's going to happen when you put it down. Um, do you think there's any, uh, like, as a digital person, what program are you using right now? Are you in
So
Photoshop?
I am now in Procreate.
Procreate. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
And again, I was quite sort of, when that first came out, I was quite sort of early in using that. So that, I think one of the books you had at the beginning,
yeah.
the Mirabelle one with the twins, that was my very first book. And I did it all in Procreate, not having any idea what I was doing, quite frankly, and not even knowing if it was going to be print worthy at the end of it.
I mean, it is. I like it. It's a really fun sort of, like, one of the things that I'm impressed with and something like that I have a hard time doing, and that's one of the goals of today, is like to let line work sort of be the star on a face. I have shied away from line work so much. I don't want to say attacked in school, but I got told many a times that I should not rely on line as heavily as I did, and so I've sort of pushed away from it, and I want to sort of bring it back a little bit here and there. And so looking at that, I was like, oh, that's sort of an inspiration of why I'm choosing to do a bit of line work today. Um, Although it's going to be a while before I get there. Let's put it that way. So let's talk about sort of the. I mean, you said you used Illustrator prior,
Yeah.
and do you like Illustrator?
Oh, I did love Illustrator. I think it was just because when I was at college, my final show was silkscreen, because I loved 50s sort of posters, silkscreen. I
Yeah.
loved the print techniques from the 50s where it was a little bit hit and miss, but I loved the flat color. And so I was trying to sort of trying to get that same effect. And so Illustrator was brilliant for that. And I loved, and I did illustration, but it was a graphic design course.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as a designer, I think it kind of suits my skill set of being able to move like big shapes around. And obviously it's vector based, so you can scale it up and down. So I would just do roughs in Illustrator, just go straight in. And so I think clients were quite impressed that my roughs just looked pretty much finished. But if they needed changes, it was just so easy for me to do.
So let me pose a question to you, and this is the teacher in me sort of thinking here for a minute. But we have so many students in school that hate Illustrator, and I think it has a steep learning curve in
Yeah.
a lot of them. I think it's probably I prefer it over Photoshop, I think, for the most part, just because it's so clean.
Yeah, it's really clean.
And for type especially, I think it's particularly wonderful. But do you think it's still relevant as much today as it was previously? In the sense that, like, I understand vector, the element of vector and having that sort of scalability, but we're also in a world where you're not worried about file size as much as you once were, or things of that sort. And I'm wondering, do you think that there's still a ton of merit in Illustrator, or do you think that since you
Yeah, I don't know. I don't use it anymore, so that might be the answer to your
yeah,
question.
there you go.
I think it's not the right for me. I when I first switched over to children's books, I said to my agent, look, I just want to do anything that's associated with children's books. So I spent, quite a lot of time building up a portfolio, doing sort of quite mundane, sort of like those educational books
Yeah.
that were quite but they were good bread and butter. And I did all those projects at the beginning. I was doing them in Illustrator because there was a crossover where I was, trying to build up but then after a while, I think it felt a bit like the vector style. I couldn't get the nuances of the emotion
Okay.
that I can do in Procreate. Like it's more intrinsic and you can get emotion and like you can get textures and things, which I think suits the sort of kidlit market better.
Do you I totally hear that. One of the challenges I have with Illustrator is I don't illustrate in Illustrator. I design in Illustrator.
Yeah, that's a good, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because it's called Illustrator, and so everybody assumes it's this great illustration program, and it can be for the right person, but I think it's better for like doing layout or doing type and things of the sort. But it's one of those ones where like I don't know where it sits in the world today as far as people's interpretation of how it's used or why it should be used or any of those kinds of things. And so
Yeah.
it's always interesting to me to hear people talk about their reasoning for it or their reasoning from shifting away. I mean, same thing with like Photoshop. Photoshop is not the mainstay, I don't think, for illustrators anymore. I think it's Procreate at this point. I think it's
Yeah, I never learned it, Photoshop. I tried. I think I found it almost too much choice.
yeah. There's a lot of bells and whistles.
Yeah, and I just thought, oh, I could be here forever.
I think I had my issue with Photoshop was or my issue with Photoshop in general is I feel like it's not like I'm sketching. I feel like I'm on the computer, and part of it maybe just because I don't have a Cintiq or things of the sort. But I think that Procreate is so much like a sketchbook
Yeah.
that it's a little bit easier entry point for those who are wanting to sketch digitally, and so I think that's why there's this big appeal for it. It's also cheaper by quite a
Oh
bit.
gosh, yeah, you don't have to subscribe to a monthly thing
Yeah.
that costs a fortune.
I think I got it when it was like $4 for the app, and it's gone up since, but it's still like $10 or something like that for the app for life.
It's amazing in what you can do. I mean, the only thing is the layer. You can't use, infinite layers, can you?
Yeah, that's a matter of just getting a high end iPad, and then you can have more layers than otherwise. But it's still, there's some limitations with it.
Yeah.
It is not good with type. It is.
Oh yeah, it's not good with type. So I do kind of miss the type using typography because I used to quite enjoy adding typography to my illustrations. But yeah, it's okay. I'll live with it.
Yeah, you can
One
always
less thing to do.
you can always jump between programs, and there's so many options nowadays that I don't think it's that it's not super critical. But okay, this is probably boring tech talk for folks, but let's oh, my wife says the paper. She documents what people use for material, and so she's asking about sort of, do you know what kind of paper you're working on here?
Yeah, so paper. I've started using this. It's just normal cartridge paper, but it's really nice and thick.
Okay.
300 GSM, and it's just really cheap.
That's
So I was using Bockingford paper, but then it kept going, like it was a bit hit and miss. Like I was getting through it quite quickly,
yeah.
and it was getting too precious. So I just thought, actually, this works just as well. It's the same weight, and it doesn't really matter because it's not for anything. So
And you're not doing like crazy heavy scrubbing with watercolor or anything of the sort, like you with watercolor paper being like full cotton rag paper.
Exactly. No,
Wear and tear.
none of that yet, Mark.
Yeah. You're not beating it up.
Not yet. Not
Yeah.
yet.
Well,
Maybe by the end of this session.
yeah, that's about to say that. At some point, that may fall apart on you, but not today. So
No.
talk to me a little bit about sort of looking back at the career. How did things start? What was your sort of beginning point that you knew illustration was the thing? I mean, you said 30 years ago, but obviously there was a point where that became a viable or interesting avenue to go down.
Okay, so it was even longer than 30 years ago. It was about 40 years ago. I was at school doing art A-level, and there was no other career for me. I knew I wanted to do art. That wasn't but I didn't know which sort of route to follow. And for years I thought I would do fashion. That's what I thought I would do.
Okay.
Until I went to a class, like a dressmaking class, and I realized I hated sewing. And I wasn't very good at it. So I thought, well, that's out then.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'll just go and do my foundation and see where that takes me. But then we had this, for our A-level, we had this, it was coursework primarily. And one of the one of the projects on the course was to do children's books. And it was an illustration project. And at the time I thought, what is an illustrator?
Yeah.
And I thought, I like this project. And I thought, it was at that moment, it was just really, and I went, I want to be an illustrator. That's what I want to do. And I thought, doesn't sound like there's a lot of money in that. But I just thought, I don't care. I thought, this is what I want to do. And I thought, well, the money, I just can't worry about it. I just have to follow this. And I honestly went to, college, didn't think I'd get any job out of it at the end of it. And yeah, I just loved it. And so I didn't even know there was illustration. I didn't know it was a thing.
How old were you? I mean, you said college.
So I was about sort of 17 at the time.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say college has a different terminology over here.
Ah, right. No, so it was
like
so yes.
The equivalent of our high school, essentially.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I was at high school.
Yeah.
And then, so I knew I wanted to go down a design route. But I didn't know. And then I thought, right, and my art teacher at the time was like, are you sure? And I said, yeah, it was like doing a complete pivot, And he said, but you look like someone, you've always wanted to do fashion. You're fashion, like. And I said, yeah, but now I've got this illustration thing. I said, that's what I want to do. And he said, okay, let's do it then. If you say so.
Yeah, nice to have that faith. You sure about this?
Yeah, you sure you're an illustrator?
Yeah.
I was like, yep, I really want to do it.
I see a question here that I'm going to get to in 1 second, but I want to find out a little bit about because I don't want to drop the subject for a second, but so are you still into fashion?
I was really into fashion when I was younger. I'm not so much anymore.
Okay.
But I still, I'm still but I think fashion has changed. It's not as exciting. Well, maybe I've changed. It's not as exciting to me anymore. But back in the day of dinosaurs, I think, there used to be, 2 fashion shows a year, right?
Yeah.
There was spring, summer, and autumn, winter. And I remember patiently waiting as, an 18-year-old, 20-year-old, patiently waiting to discover what the designers would bring out in their collections. And, it wasn't online, so you'd have to go and buy these amazing books and magazines and they would launch it. And you'd see what Dior had done and Prada had done. And I was just, the glamour of it. And I think having that anticipation of waiting and you know, there wasn't this fast fashion thing either. I could never afford these clothes, but I was just in love with the dream of it all. Like, you know, Galliano at the time and Alexander McQueen. I just think, wow, this is just beautiful. So
So,
yeah, I did love fashion, and I loved sort of being stylish, and but now I think my heart's not really in it anymore, because I think also, like, everyone just wears the same things now. Not
yeah,
everyone, but you know what I mean. Like, everyone sort of dresses down a lot more.
I went through a phase, and I don't think I'm fashionable anymore, but I cared a lot more about what I wore back in the day, and being out there and different. And now it's just sort of, it's a comfort level. It's a, hey,
Yeah,
I,
exactly.
I don't want to have to think as much as I once did. Let's put it that way. So there's a question here from, let's see, it's Apple Pie Illustration. Asks, what is your favorite book and illustrator of all time?
That's difficult.
Yeah, it's loaded. Yeah.
That's, oh, I don't think I can pick one. Um, but you know, I think, like with everyone, I just love American sort of mid-century children's books.
Okay.
And I think, you know, I never had access to those over here. So years ago, when I went to, you know, I drove around California with a friend, we would go to like thrift shops and find like an old 1950s, you know, book. And I was just in love with all that sort of, you know, obviously all the greats like Mary Blair and everyone,
Yeah.
you know. And I think also the other reason I got into Illustrator, actually going back to that, was Giotto Seibold,
Hmm.
Mr. Lunch.
Yeah.
And that book was just, when I saw it, I was just blown away. I thought, all those gradient, I thought, I just can't get my head around it. I thought, I want to learn Illustrator
Yeah. Just
because of that. Like, that's why I learned it, because the gradients and the way he had done it of that time, it was just brilliant, I thought.
the did you ever back in the I like the term in the time of dinosaurs. In the time of dinosaurs, um, did you ever do airbrush and stuff like that?
No,
Okay.
I'm much too loose. I'm just not. I'd get myself. I'd be airbrushing myself. I'd be so messy.
I just it's one of those things that was sort of that era before computers were uh, able to make a perfect gradient. There was you either had to do it by hand with paint or you could airbrush it and create sort of feather.
Yeah, you'd have to mask everything off though, wouldn't
Yeah.
you?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't be patient enough for that. I would literally just be like, oh, let's just go in. And then it'd be like, oh no, I've done it wrong. I can't, I'm just very impatient.
I remember when I was in high school, they taught us airbrush, and I was so proud of myself. I did this giant Batman poster, and afterwards realized that I had misspelled some word on it, and it wasn't Batman; it was something else. But the amount of effort it took to sort of cut out all the stencils and do all
Oh
the work
yeah.
to misspell. I think it was an I before E except after C situation that I just missed, and there's no going back from that. Like, you'd have to redo the entire thing at that point. And now Illustrator is just like, oh, I'm just gonna retype it and done. And so
I know, no, I'm too lazy to be doing it. But I remember going to the degree shows when I was still at high school, and looking at all the degree sort of graduates and their shows, and some of the, airbrush. I was just like, oh wow, that looks so good.
it's so
Um, yeah, I was very, very admiring of it all, but I thought, no, I don't think that's for me.
totally makes sense. So uh, going back real quick to that sort of fashion thing, I'm wondering how much of that plays into, or um, is there are you using Panpastel right now?
Yeah, we're going with something else
Yeah.
now.
Okay. I used some earlier in mine too. So I was watching. I was like, how are you getting this like super soft texture? Um,
This
so
is a new thing. I went and bought it this week, actually, the Panpastels, because I've
yeah,
seen people use them on Instagram and they look so lovely. But then I thought, oh gosh, I'm just going to get pastels everywhere. It's just going to be so messy.
it's not
Um,
bad.
it's not bad, is it?
Yeah. And it erases pretty well too. So if you have a good eraser, you can erase it up pretty solidly. Um, and it comes with all sorts of fun colors too. So it's a dangerous road because you will all of a sudden you'll like it and you'll go get a bunch of different colors and start blending them together. And
They are quite expensive, I will say that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's pastels in general are expensive, but imagine each one of those cakes that they sell is probably like 2 sticks of pastel, and so it adds up over time. But I wanted to go back to just this idea of like fashion and how much that shows up in your, or that thought process shows up in your kidlit, in the sense of you're designing characters, you're designing their outfits, you're designing that sort of like their vibe of some. And I'm wondering, um, one of the things that I find myself doing all the time is I end up going with stripes. I feel like stripes are so easy and lovely, but um, it's generally just like pants and shorts and a shirt. And there's not a ton of like dresses or design work. And then I go look at your work, and there is like a sense of like um, I don't want to say fashion in the sense of like high fashion, but
No,
there's
no
choices that
kids
are,
wearing Prada.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like this is Jean Paul Gaultier, or yeah,
Bustier.
yeah. But there are choices that are being made, and I'm wondering like how much of these things sort of bleed in, like your past as far as editorial showing up in your kidlit, and an interest in fashion back in the day showing up in kidlit, and whatever other sort of hobbies or interests you have, how much of that really sort of infiltrates your
Yeah, I
acting.
think I hadn't really thought about it. It's a good question. Um, I think in terms of like going to places like Paris, or they have the most beautiful children's um, shops, like children's clothing
Yeah,
shops, where they're just so charming and they're kind of very traditional, and actually quite some American, clothes for children as well. They're kind of a I don't know, just some charm about. They're quite old fashioned, which that appeals to me. So I often will put little girls in like with little bows in their hair and little pinafore frocks and things like that.
yeah. That's
But really, I mean, that's as far. It's just like how would I have liked to have dressed my children when they were young?
gotcha. Uh, just that idea of like the effort put into those little details makes such a difference in work, and sort of the overall effect that it can bring by taking the time to say like, oh, let me put in these little like saddle shoes, or what have you, onto your characters. And most of the time I'm just doing like, well, as long as they have pants on and they're not buck naked, then I
Mm.
uh, even though I like fashion is fun, and we watch Project Runway and some of those kind of shows, it's not it is not the mainstay of what I do. Let's put that way. Um,
I
uh,
mean, I guess all those little details, they add something, don't they? They do all add up to bring something, another layer to the final illustration.
but it
But they do take time as well, because sometimes I have to research, like sometimes I have to spend like a hour or two researching children's clothes to get an idea of, just to be inspired again.
I think it brings a sweetness to your work, and brings back, not that this is a dangerous statement, like especially in the climate that we're in the U.S., but that idea brings back sort of the times of yesteryear, and that idea of like the cutesy sort of like um, 50s, 60s kind of vibe. I say dangerous just because there's this push, obviously, for like make America whatever grossness that's going on. Uh,
Right, yeah.
not to get political here, but that idea of the like sweet, cute little like ribbons and hair and stuff like that. And I have this problem. I don't know if it's the problem that you have, but I have a real hard time drawing girls. Um, and so my tendency is to go sort of like put a ribbon in a hair or put a barrette or something of the sort. And I think part of it's stylistic, but part of it is just historically, I have drawn a lot of boys, and I know what a boy's face looks like because I looked in a mirror. And not a man's face, a boy's face. But I'm wondering that idea of like, you mentioned the sentiment of like how you would have liked to dress your kids or things of the sort. Do you see yourself in your characters in some way?
I think, yeah, I think they're probably, yeah, that's inevitable, I think. Because, yeah, I think, I don't, it's a weird one, isn't it? I think there must be some way, because sometimes you can see how people draw. They actually look like their characters that they draw. Have you
Yeah.
noticed that?
It's like people with their dogs.
Yeah.
Start to look
Yeah.
like over time.
And I think it's, it's just that thing, you're used to seeing your own face in the mirror. So it's, you kind of just drawn to that, aren't you? I don't know.
Do you draw people you know in your books?
Um,
Like another hide little things in your books that that imply or that are like, oh, this is my neighbor, this is my friend kind of situation?
I'm trying to think. The only time I think I've done that is with I'll go hang on, just wait there. People Need People. I've got it right here. And I had to do this spread. There's a bit of a time delay, isn't there?
If you're watching on a separate feed, there is a time delay. There you go.
Okay, so like that's supposed to be me at the time, and it's this spread that's got lots of people on the spread, and that's Benjamin Zephaniah, who sadly passed away, but he's the writer, he's the poet that wrote this poem.
Okay.
So that was quite fun, but I think that would be quite a nice touch to do that, actually.
To be honest, I've never done it, but when you mentioned the idea of just like, oh, the clothes that you wanted your kids to have or that kind of thing, like I've never thought about putting people I know in a book, and partially because most of the books don't have that opportunity, but at some point they will, and
Yeah, I think it depends on the story, I guess. It depends on the book.
Yeah, you can't do it every single time.
No, not if it's a book about, ladybirds or something.
I mean, you could style someone, like if there's someone that always wears a bow tie, well, you could
That's true. That's true.
They'd have
and I think also the latest book that I've just done was The Quiet Bench, and that was kind of based on my nephew. And I told my sister about that, and I said, I based it around him, and she said, well, don't tell him, he won't like it. So
wait, how old is he?
So basically, he's 13, so okay. He's at that age where he's probably offended that he's like this little kid in a children's book.
Yeah. That's what I was wondering. Like if he was like 6 or something like that, that'd be cool. But there's an age.
Exactly. But it takes such a long time for the book to come out that he was probably a lot younger when I started it.
Is there like? This is a question I don't think I've ever asked anybody either, but with the books that you've done, you've had to do dedications and stuff, I assume, at or what do they call those? There's another term for them.
Yeah, I think we call them dedications, don't we?
Yeah, no, I think that's the common one, but there is another term that I've heard ages ago that was sort of another variation on it. But how do you decide? Like I get these emails from the publishers and they say like, oh, we need the dedication thing by the end of the week. And then it's this mad dash to be like, okay, who do I want to dedicate this to? Why? Yeah. There's always this weird little challenge that goes along with that. And I'm wondering, do you have a process for that? Do you have some reasoning on who you choose in those situations?
No, but I like you, I do struggle with that because, you know, the first few books, I was like, oh yeah, you know, I'm going to dedicate them to, like, you know, go through the family,
Yeah.
one at a time.
Yep.
But now it's got to a point where sometimes I think, oh God, I don't know, who am I going to dedicate them to now? But I think it also depends on the book. Like, so I try and align the story with the person that I think most resembles whatever that book is trying to say.
So it's topical to the person.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, so then I just, you know, but you just sort of think, oh, does that sound really cheesy, you know, this
Hmm.
dedication, or you just worry about it. But then at the end of the day, I don't know. Everyone's really chuffed, aren't they? They're so happy to be in it.
Yeah. No one. I don't think people beyond the person that like, it's about them. Like I don't go through and read the dedications in books,
Me
but
neither.
I put pressure on myself when it comes time to write those to write like the most funny little quip or you know something humorous or the right person or whatever it is. And like again, like most people don't care. And it's
Yeah, most people are just into the story. They just jump
yeah,
straight in.
yeah. And so it's just funny that there's this like weird pressure that we put on ourselves with those. And I'm sure it's probably commonplace for a lot of kidlit folks, um, especially those who don't write, to all of a sudden have to like write a little thing, and you know, your words are put in the book of some sort, can be scary.
Yeah, and you think, oh, is this gonna, you know, this is gonna sound really bad, and they're gonna know I'm not very good at writing,
Yeah,
or
especially if there's an author one that's like beautifully written.
yeah.
Uh,
I
well,
try not to overthink about it anymore. I just
yeah,
think, oh, I'll just say what I want to say.
yeah. No, I have gotten to the point where like yeah, it's less dangerous, but I've also gotten to the point where I started cycling again, where it's like, oh, I can go back to the first person, and be like, oh, it's been enough books. I don't. It's not one after another. I can reuse them as my dedication if it makes sense. Um, the
Exactly, yeah. How many books have you done, Mark?
I have done. I think I'm on 15 or 16 right now, something like that.
That's really cool. And do they get easier? You know, are you still enjoying it? Is each one very different?
Wait a second. Wait a second. How many have you done? I need to know that answer
I
first.
don't know. Um,
Yeah.
I haven't counted. Uh, well, I've done more. I don't know. I
Okay.
think um, quite maybe similar.
Okay.
If you count everything.
Yeah. The reason I ask that question is, um, I'm wondering like your question, the perspective you're coming from in the sense of like, um, do they get easier? Was that from a sort of like I don't? Do you think they stay the same, or is that a you haven't done that many books and so you don't know and you're trying to hedge your bet on if
No,
it's
I was wondering whether your process was
yeah.
the same as mine, really.
I think it has gotten easier to make the books, in the sense of like I don't know if this is the same for you, but when I sketch the first books that I did, I was super, super like, I'm going to sketch this thing to death. It's going to be fast, etc. And now I'm less worried about those kind of small details, and more worried about just like, oh, is this going to be uh, like a new push or a new boundary that I'm trying to break with the book? But when it comes to just like, do I need to worry about where there's a full spread versus a single page bleed versus a vignette? Some of that just comes naturally now.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that stuff
No,
anymore.
yeah, it's sort of like, oh, this one should be a full spread just based on the content that's on in the manuscript or whatever, and that's easy enough to just sort of put in and not think about. And so, in some sense, yes, it does get easier, but I also think that there are challenges with each book that make it, you know,
Yeah, interest still to keep interesting
uh,
to be working on them. Because if all the books were the same, it would get a bit sort of.
yes,
I do like a challenge.
yes, get bored fairly quickly. I get bored easily with books that I work on. and so the more variety and challenging they are, the better. And so that, you know, I try to mix it up or find ways to make it interesting for me. And sometimes that's problematic. Like sometimes I walk into a wall and
Yeah,
I you know, I design a character that's way complex that becomes challenging later down the line or what have you. But have you worked
exactly.
on a series before? I don't remember if you.
Yeah, I did a series. Well, I did a series of these ones. The baby felt books.
Oh, that's right.
Have you seen those?
Yes. Yes.
And they're lovely. And basically, they've asked me to do 10 of them. So I've done 9, and I'm going to start working on the last one. But you know that's a quite a large series. So I think you had is it Ingela?
Yeah. Yeah. Dingalong. Yeah.
Yeah, because she's worked with these are by Camilla Reed, and
Oh,
she's
okay.
all her Peekaboo books was also with Camilla Reed.
Yeah. It's. Oh yeah. Is it the felt? Yeah, it's the felt ones. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we did like there's love, you know, and they're just really delightful.
The the challenge with the series ones for me is just like how do you make it new and fresh each book for yourself so you're not repeating the same
It's difficult, isn't it? Because
image or process or whatever.
I think towards the end, like Camilla was sort of asking me, you know, are there any worlds you'd like to visit, or you know, so we did an underwater one and things like that. But they kind of have the same pattern of the pages follow a route, you know, a similar pattern,
Yeah.
and they're for babies, so they're not too deep. But I did also do 3 books based on bugs, and they were all set in this imaginary bug world. And it was complicated, I'm not going to lie, because I had to draw like maps of this bug world, and they all had to be interlinked between one book and another. But we didn't know because we did one book at a time. So somehow we had to go back and connect them all and make them look like they were all from the same bug town.
I just
And that got complicated. It was, I think 3 was enough.
yeah, I had the book series. I have a book coming out in another couple weeks, and the series. Had I known it was going to be a series, I would have worked on it very differently. The first book was this vertical book, and then the second book we chose to do horizontal because of the character design was more horizontal. It gave us more room. And then when I went to the third book, they wanted that one vertical, and the fourth book they wanted vertical. So there's just one book that doesn't match the rest.
Oh.
Size, and so this one just doesn't fit, and it's becomes a problem when you try to like package them or do all these things that you just like you don't know at the time that that's going to be the thing. Like those books weren't fully written or whatnot, and so that consistency becomes such a challenge, or the not necessarily consistency, but the the overall package becomes a challenge if you don't know exactly where you're going with it from the start. Um, with
Yeah, it is hard because we also had to change the covers as well on these bug books, because it's just it's quite hard because like you said, it takes a lot of planning, and if you haven't planned properly and you don't know how many books they're going to be in the series, it's that chicken or egg thing. It's like, what do you because you know they can't commit to more in the series because they don't know how it's going to sell.
Yep,
But
yep.
then if it sells well, then they go, oh, let's add some more.
And you don't want to put a lot of time into like all this planning for lots and lots of books if
That
it's just
might not happen.
yeah, yeah. You gotta like how much do you hedge your bets? I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same argument too with advances and things of the sort. Of you know the how much do you want in a advance versus you know percentage on royalties and things of the sort because
Yeah.
you know you want to assume it's going to sell well, but at the same time there's ones you work on where you know that's probably got a limited shelf life, and so
Yeah, and I always get it wrong. I always think this one's going to do really well. I've got a
Yep.
good feeling about it, and then it just doesn't. You just think, why?
Yeah.
There's so many factors, and no one knows. Even even the publisher said we just don't know. We don't
Yep.
know what sells better, or even if they market it all the same way, you just don't know what people will want at the
It's like
time.
the book I'm working on right now. I'm like, in my mind, it's going to be a really good seller. It's going to get awards, all that
Yeah.
stuff. But it's just going to like fall flat, and it's going to be the one book that I didn't put a lot of time and effort into, or the book that like I think is now going nowhere, that is the one that actually does the trick. But it's such a weird gamble. I mean, the art world in general is a very weird gamble, in the sense of like, you don't know what images people are going to connect with. You don't know, like, if you post something online or you send something to an art director and you send sketches and you're like, this one's the most brilliant sketch. And then, of course, they pick the one that's, not bad, but it's not the one that you were excited about.
Yeah.
Causes all sorts of like, well, why'd they pick that one? What are they seeing that I'm not seeing?
Yeah.
Questions that pop up. So I see my wife asked ages ago to get to it, and so did the, I can't even know. I have no idea. Betsy or something like that. Asked what brush were you using for that smudging of the pan pastel? Like you had a
Oh yeah.
brown brush.
Nice. I
Like
found these on, like, they're like this, and I found them in my art cupboard, and I thought they look like makeup brushes, don't they? And they came
they,
like they were really cheap. They were just from like Amazon, but they come in. I've got them in different sizes, and I thought, well, this is way before I bought the pastels, and I
yeah.
thought, well, I don't know what I'm going to use them for, but they look interesting. And then when I got the pastels, I thought, I know what.
I mean, those are meant to push around powder. If they're makeup
Yeah.
brushes,
And
there's
the
no.
funny thing, my daughter, she's 22, she came in the other day and she went, oh, it looks so fun in here, because she came into my room and I've got all the materials laid out, and she picked up all the pan pastels. She was like, what's all this makeup? She was so excited. I said, no, that's not makeup.
Yeah, don't let her use them. There's probably like all sorts of chemicals and hard metals and stuff in them
Oh,
you don't want to put on your face.
no, but it is like eyeshadow.
Yeah. No, it looks, I mean, they do look a lot like that, and it's probably colors that you don't commonly come across in certain cases, for makeup. So
Yeah.
ages ago, I was like, okay, everybody bring in these brushes. Let's work on this piece. And this one student had this really weird brush, and I was like, I've never seen a brush like this before. And they said, well, I pulled it from my makeup kit, and it's like, oh. And at that time, I remember being like, why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense. But now I look at it and go like, oh, that's actually not a bad idea, depending on what effect you're trying to get, or like the softness may not be as easily achievable with a different type of brush that you there. So
Yeah,
uh,
you can get so many different effects using it. That's what I mean. It's so many variables
broad.
on how you use different materials and with different brushes or different things, or so it's just playing, isn't it? It really is at the moment. Well, for me anyway, at the moment.
Yeah. Uh, is your daughter artistic of any sort?
Yes, she is. She is. But she's studying film. She's just finished university. So she's looking for a job at the moment, but she wants to do sort of go into some sort of media. I don't know what it looks like, but some kind of internship with a media company, or I think she's got an interview coming up with a fashion media company.
Oh, fan.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, that was my turf.
No. She's welcome to it. She's welcome to that.
Yeah. um, were you happy when the decision was made that art was the direction, or was
Was
it?
I? Did you say it
Yeah,
again?
were you happy when she decided that she wanted to go towards art, or was that like, uh oh, I
No,
got
no, no. I just wanted her to do something that made her happy. And I think she didn't know what she was going to do, actually. She was very, because I think now there's so much choice. You know, there's so many amazing degrees and things, and it's hard to choose, especially when you have to choose, I think, when you're about 17, 18.
Yeah.
And it's a, you know, and now they have to pay for the tuition. So it's a big, it's a big decision for them.
Wait. You mean they have to pay tuition for college or for uni?
For uni.
Did you not have to pay back in the day?
No, I didn't.
What's that like?
Yeah, I was very lucky. Got so when it was back in my day, it was very much like, oh, like we can go to art college and just muck about, and you don't have to pay for anything. And we even got grants and things.
It's the U.S. system of education has been, uh, you know, financially has put such a burden on students for years, and so hearing that, I'm like, I can't believe that there was
There
no.
was a time.
Well, it takes a lot of the pressure off, honestly, of and probably for your benefit in a way that you're not looking at a job or looking at education as like this has to be the breadwinner today, because I have to pay off all these bills.
I know, because you're already like committed to this course that you don't even know if you're really invested into it.
Yeah,
And then, you know, you're committing yourself to 3 years with a, you know, well, you know what it's like. And then, you know, then they've got to pay for or help with their parents or somehow. It's a big pressure on it's a big weight on their shoulders, I'd say.
I don't even know how much the college I went to costs now. I'm sure it's a ridiculous amount that would make me cry. Um, but it's one of those things where like that's even having to pay, there are, benefits to college, but that I think the freedom potentially afforded to no debt being built up is such a lovely idea that I wish we didn't have that challenge stateside. Um, with so when you went to school, you said it was a design type classes if I remember correctly. Um, and you were doing illustrative work in a design class. Is that correct? Am I remembering correctly?
What are you talking about? High school?
Maybe. I don't remember. I don't remember what school we were talking about at the time.
Oh yeah, this is high school. So I was just doing a general A level art, which is
Okay.
basically what high school kids do. It's just a general art. We had to paint, we had to do life drawing, we had to do, you know, and then one of the projects was this do a spread in a nursery rhyme. We had to choose a nursery rhyme that we liked and do the project as if it was a spread in a children's book.
Yeah. Okay. It's one of those. Were you in the classes that you took that were not illustration? Were you primarily doing like illustrative work the entire time and realized it at a certain point, or was it? Because like I've had people on going like they didn't know what illustration was, but in reality they look back and say, "Oh, I was doing illustration from the beginning." And
No, I was doing all sorts. I was doing fine art, I was painting, doing different projects, just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So I would just do the projects that they'd set, and they were quite random. Some would be typography, um, moving things around on paper, like, you know, doing collage and
yeah,
doing projects about spatial typography, so it's all balanced on the page. So all these different skills that at the time you didn't know what you were doing because you just thought, what am I doing? But I think the teachers were setting these projects and they knew what they were doing. But I think when you're 18, 17, 18, you think, oh, what am I doing?
they know the outcome they are trying to achieve with the assignment, and you're
Yeah.
yes, good all.
Sometimes, you know, as a student, you're a bit lost. You're like, I don't really know what I'm doing here.
I think that that's not just a high school thing too. That's a later on in life thing. That's a I don't know as
That's the everything
I'm
thing.
right now either. Um, it's all a gamble. in some sense.
And I think you just have, I think with art, you just have to just go with it and try it. You know, what have you got to lose?
Yep.
Because
Yep.
otherwise you just won't know, will you? You won't know if you like something if you don't give it a go.
Do you are you someone that took a lot of risks when you were younger? Like not necessarily like, oh, were you a punk and fought against the
The monarchy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But are you someone that like played by the rules, or were you someone that liked to subvert the rules and challenge authority in general?
No, I was a real play by the rules. Even like now, I get a bit sort of, oh, we're not allowed to do that. Don't
Wait,
go there. It's not
yeah.
allowed. We get arrested.
Do you drive the speed limit?
Well, so I've got a very quiet car, so sometimes I might go over the speed limit but not realise because
Mm,
it sounds the same at 60 than it does at
yeah.
30.
Is it
So I
a
have to keep my eye on the speedometer.
is it a hybrid or an electric or something of the sort?
Yeah, it's a hybrid.
Yep. That's the I've had that question. Like I'd like to get a hybrid. The next car I get is now they're available. My car is ancient at this point, and so but I worry about that sort of like, yeah, you just don't know how heavy you're pushing on that pedal of some sort.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy.
No, I didn't even ask at the beginning. You're obviously you're in England, but um, where
Oh, where? In Brighton. Do you
in
know
Brighton?
Brighton?
I know some of the areas from like uh, people that have gone over there or shows that we watch, but I couldn't like if you asked me on a map where's Brighton, I wouldn't be able to point it out. Uh,
Don't worry. It's on the south coast. So from London, it's about 50 miles south on the coast.
okay.
And you'll be surprised at how many illustrators live in Brighton. I don't know why. There's just so many
Is
of
there
us.
is there a big art scene there? Is there a big like school that's nearby or something of the sort?
There is a Brighton College, Brighton Uni. I think it's changed now. It's like Sussex Uni. It used to be Brighton Art College back in the day. But I don't know why there's so many. I don't really understand. I mean, even tomorrow night we're going to be meeting up with other. So it's quite fun. There's a community.
Yeah, there's like in the States, obviously uh, New York and places like that are going to have lots of illustrators just because of the industry. But then every once in a while, you'll have these locations like Utah, out in the middle of nowhere, has a huge art community, and tons of illustrators are out there. And I've asked them, and they don't really. I mean, there is a college that's nearby, but it doesn't have the same thing as like um, in New York or those kind of like big industry attached to it.
Yeah.
But I think some of it is just like there's artists there and a lovely part of the country, and so that's enough. That's all
Yeah,
we need. Uh,
exactly.
is there are you, you said it's on the South Shore, but is it are you up against the ocean?
Yeah, it's what is it? The English Channel?
Oh, you're up against the English Channel. That's famous.
Is it?
I don't know. I just it sound like I know of it. I don't.
Well, yeah, it's like towards France.
Yeah, I've heard of it before. Yeah. Um, is wait, where are the White Cliffs of Dover?
Yeah,
Is that
so that's like going a bit more east towards Kent.
okay?
So if you got in a boat from Brighton, where I live, if you
Yeah.
got in a little boat and went east, you'll hit the White Cliffs of Dover.
Okay. I like.
Actually, you'd hit what you'd hit White Cliffs before Dover, actually.
Okay.
So you wouldn't have to go that far, Mark,
Yeah.
if you
The
didn't
little
want it to.
history lesson, or not the history, the geography lesson.
Yeah, don't ask it. It's not my strong point.
It's as a typical American, I know a lot of American stuff. I don't know a lot outside of that, and I should know more, and I should take the time to study more.
No, you shouldn't.
I know a
No,
lot
no.
of politics than I do about your politics and whatnot than I do about the map. Let's put it that way. Um,
Yeah, no, you shouldn't do anything. Like I've tried to stop telling myself I should do this and shouldn't do that, and so you let that go, Mark.
Just stick to my guns. Yeah,
Stick to America.
yeah.
That's what you want to do.
I like. I didn't even intend it, but I said stick to my guns, and then you said stick to America, as in,
Yeah, I know.
which is not too far off. Uh, just the like I the most artists in the States are relatively thoughtful folks that care about the world. Let's put it that way. And so it's interesting um, to like. I always feel bad that I'm like not cognizant of all the things I should be, and I want to better myself as I go along. Well, that's therapy right there. Remember how I said it was? I just got, yeah, a load with that one. Um, so, oh, my wife said yes. We are so ignorant of other countries in the States here. Um, tell me a little bit about sort of your youth and like you said, you didn't have a lot of books growing or fun books growing up that or access to it. Let's put it that way. Of a lot of like American sort of mid-century and uh, things of the sort. And I'm wondering about sort of your history with books, family. Like, was your family big readers? Were books a big part of your youth?
Well, my family are from Myanmar originally.
Okay.
I came here. They immigrated here when I was about 3 years old because they knew that there wouldn't be a future for a great future, and they were right. So we moved to England because at the time my parents, my dad was a doctor, so I think the UK and the US at the time there was a call for doctors. This is back in 1975. So they got on they came over. And so I grew up here. But, that first sort of, what do you call it? Just, it was hard culturally for me growing up in a kind of very Asian culture at home
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
things were done a certain way. Children were, you had to do as you're told. And then going to a Western school and then growing up, it was really, really difficult. Because and then growing into teens even became more difficult because a lot of my friends would be going to parties and going out, and I wasn't allowed to do that at all.
Oh.
No, I know. I was like, oh, I wasn't allowed to go out or have boys, or I went to a girls' school because boys were off limits. So it was quite a lonely. But going back to the books, I mean, I think they're just from the culture where I don't think my parents ever read me a children's book.
Hmm.
I can't remember. I don't think they ever did. And I think that's a cultural thing because they just wouldn't have thought about it.
Yeah.
So
Was
it's very different. But my dad, I do remember one day when I must have been about 5 or 6, and he came home from work and he said, right, I'm going to take you to the library. And I said, what's that? And we got in the car and he showed me what a library was. And I was just like, what? You can take any book out of here? And from that moment on, I just loved books. And I just read. And I think culturally, they might not have read to me. But if I ever wanted a book, I think they would just buy it for me because they saw it as educational.
yeah, they knew the value of what you were.
Yeah, yeah. So I
Yeah.
remember, my mum would join a book club and she'd let me choose which books I wanted, and I had to read them all myself. But she was, I would say I need that for school. And she's okay.
Wait, did you actually need them for school, or was that?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't need them, but I was like, oh no, I really, my teacher says, I need this for school.
So you were a stinky little liar.
You could see it like that. Or you could say, I was being very innovative and clever.
So I know that you drive too fast now sometimes.
Oh, this is painting me into such a
Yeah,
bad person.
you're a big liar.
I'm a terrible person, and I've gone wrong with my painting.
Yeah. No, it's so. Do you have? I'm wondering. Like, obviously, you didn't grow up all that much in Myanmar, but um, do you have a like any history in the sense of like going back and looking at literature and stuff from that region? Like,
No, I haven't. I haven't as much because it's hard to access
yeah,
because it's such a closed off country.
yeah, okay,
I do have a book upstairs because I did ask my dad that, like, any folk tales that originate from Burma. So I have got one book, I just haven't had the time to read it yet.
yeah. That's sort of what I was getting at. Is like finding out the history. Like my family is not very. I'm pretty bland, white bread. Uh, I'm the generic no nutrition bread of the carb family, and
No.
and so like I don't have this rich history of these things, and I'm always sort of like if I did, I would definitely want to know some of that sort of like what was it like, not just for like the historical context, but just as a like what kind of tales, what kind of stories come from that region, um, and sort of the like I said, the sort of history that goes with it is interesting to me. Um, but you grew up in the old English countryside. No, I don't know.
English? No,
I know city.
because my dad was a doctor, he had to give up everything and start right at the bottom of the ladder, as it were. So one of the things was he was educated in Burma as a doctor, but in an English university, because obviously the British, used to rule Burma back in the
Yep.
day.
Yep.
Um, so but they said it. But if you come to England, you kind of have to be retrained. Not sort of going back 7 years of education, but he had to start again as a junior doctor right from the bottom.
Oh, that's like
So putting in all the hours,
yeah.
again, we had to give up, like, we were kind of settled in Burma and then having to live in sort of quite a small sort of, well, we had to move into a bedsit first of all. So I do admire my parents for that because it's difficult, isn't it, setting up from scratch again.
I the amount and this is a not a bold statement of any sort, but I think a very true the amount of stuff that our parents, and I'm sure it's probably going to be the same thing for our kids at some point, but that our parents had to go through in order to survive, and the parents before them, and the struggles that people went through, um,
Yeah.
is kind of crazy to me. That people came out the other side of it in some sense. Like I would not want to go through some of the struggles that my parents went through. And
Me neither. I think it's like what they sacrificed was
yep.
so much. And I actually had this conversation today with my mum on the phone. And she said, she said, I'm so glad you're doing well. She said, I'm really happy. And she said, it makes me so proud and the grandchildren are doing well. And she said, but the only person that didn't achieve anything, she said, was her. And I felt so sad
Aw.
because she gave up a lot and she had to come to a country where she didn't speak the language and just was very isolated.
Oh, that's sad.
It's so sad, isn't it? So I had to just say to her, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Because, I think you kind of take your parents for granted a lot of the time.
Well, also, I mean, she's not putting it in context. Like, she just, now, this is me playing therapist here again, but she's saying that, she didn't accomplish a lot, but she also just said the grandkids are doing fine. And, you're doing well, and like her, what she did may not be this like job or things of the sort, but the accomplishment of like getting a family across the finish line is such a huge task that
Yeah, and I think also like it shows me how mentally strong she is.
yeah,
Because the thing is, her background, she came from a really privileged background in Burma, like really highly privileged. Like she had servants and stuff. She was living the life of, very sort of, well, a life of luxury, should we
yeah,
say. Um, she had everything she wanted, and she gave all that up to, so it kind of means more in a way. Do you know what I mean? She
yeah,
kind of gave up everything, and no one thought she would last that long. They thought she would come back because she wouldn't be able to stand the hardship.
no,
But she actually just she never complained. She just got on with it. And I don't think I would do that if I was her.
yeah. You would complain the whole time.
I would be complaining the whole time, whining away.
Yeah, I there's a story in there somewhere.
Yeah, I just think people maybe they were really sort of tough in those days, weren't they?
Yeah,
They
they
just got on with it. I think she probably was really sad, probably, but she never said anything or complained. She just got on with it.
Yep. No, I it's fascinating to me the like history there, and especially like with that history of the country and all that it was going through, and um their ability to get out and start over. I mean, starting over is ridiculous. But that
Well, what was ridiculous, Mark, was also going like the story of that was also when they left Burma, the government said, "Well, that's it. You can't come back. Like once you go, you go." They have been back, but at the time that was the threat.
yeah,
And they also just said, "Well, you can't leave you can't take any money with you, so you got to set up with nothing. You can't go unless you've got a job waiting wherever you're going to, like from the country, and we need proof that you've got a job." And it's like, well, how are you supposed to get a job if you don't have an interview or anything, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
So I don't know how they did it, to be honest. I really don't.
It's
That's tough.
I do you now. I don't know, and it's shameful that I don't know this, but have you written any books?
Um, no, but that's a good question because I'm literally about to start a project. So that's my new chapter, that challenging myself again. So I've just I won't say too much about it because I'm not sure what I can say, but I have just signed a contract to write my first author illustrated books.
Ooh, la la la.
But I think I keep seeing this more and more often, don't you think?
Seeing what?
Illustrators writing their own books
Yeah,
nowadays.
I I mean I've done it. It's fun.
Did
Um,
you like it? Did you enjoy the process, or is it a
uh,
nightmare?
it's fun to see. I mean, it's. I will say, as a illustrator who's used to illustrating other people's books, it is nice to have a book that is entirely yours.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's, that you're sort of invading someone else's space, or that you're talking about a book that you didn't have, 100% in on. Not to say that you didn't, you know, uh, care,
Yeah. Yeah.
more so just that if you do like book readings and stuff, it's like, oh, it's your words coming out of your mouth, not someone else's. Um, but there's also the challenge of, if you don't know how to write, it's a scary thing.
So when you did your very first authored book, did you know how to write, or
No,
you didn't know at all?
I mean, I took writing classes when I was in college, like university, but I not Idlit in the same way. I did not know how to put a book together at that time. So it was a lot of, when I wrote, it was me just writing what I thought a kid's book should be. And then of course there's things that needed to be changed accordingly because it didn't really match up 100%. But it's still, I thought it was pretty cool. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. This is my what's happened to me was the fact that I think since I started the children's book thing, publishers would say, does Nila want to write her own book? Because, and I would do these little Instagram, drawings just for Instagram. There's nothing much to it, but I would just draw whatever was cute or in my head at the time.
Yep.
And they said, everything she draws, there's a story there. And I was thinking, is there? Like, in my head, there isn't. I was just drawing, a bear with a kid and they're at the beach or whatever. And they said, no, I'm sure, but I kept telling myself, no, I'm not a writer. That's not something I ever, and I can't write. I just kept telling myself, I can't do it. I'm not a writer. And then, I don't know, something changed. I think I've been doing a lot of sort of personal growth work recently.
Yeah.
And then I thought, why am I the only one like sort of self-sabotaging myself before I've even had the opportunity?
Yeah.
So I thought, just because I wasn't brilliant at English lessons at school, I was okay. It wasn't like I was like really bottom, but it was because I was just very good at art. And so I always followed the art path. So I never really got a chance to nurture the writing skills. So I thought, well, I might be really bad at it, but I don't know, actually. I've never tried it. So I think once I sort of started saying to myself, well, maybe I can write. Maybe there's a possibility, just like painting. Maybe there is a chance that if someone was to teach me, who's to say? And so I started saying that to myself last year. And do you know what happened? All these opportunities started flying in. It was just the most bizarre thing. So meetings were set up. They said, you want to do it? Right, let's have meetings. And so this has all happened within the space of like 8 months.
I'm going to throw out a statement that I think will connect with you in some way, which is, I think you probably know how to write prior to that, just not with words. As an illustrator in Kidlit, your job is to gather stories and to understand how to like convey a narrative on a regular basis.
Yeah, I think you're right, because I think so my agent was saying she said, because obviously we got the contract through and it's very much sort of like, right, so what you're going to do, like, they have to put a time scale to things, and it's a 4-book contract. So it was kind of like, the first bit will be the written draft, and then then the illustration bits. So that's I guess the usual way of working is the writer writes the story first and then I get to illustrate it. But then my agent sort of said, well, actually the way Nila probably will work is in a very organic way, where she will be probably just coming up with ideas through her drawings.
Yep.
And I think that is true. I think that's how I will feel most comfortable doing it. And then somehow, somewhere, magically, the story will pin together.
Well, effectively, when you're illustrating a book, and any illustrator that's in this field can probably understand the statement of, like, when to put something exciting in a book. When the moment is that you need to do something that's sort of unexpected, or when to quiet down for quiet a moment down because there's you want to build to some crescendo and things. And to me that is effectively writing. It's just not writing with words, and so it's a matter of learning what those words or what the translation is from.
Right.
And once you can get your head around that, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you already have the skill, you already have the history. It's a matter of just finding the right story to put all that together in some sense. That's, I mean, one of the reasons I brought up that question in general is just the idea of like the history of your mother and your father. Like, not that you have to tell their exact story. There is a story in that, in the sense of starting over, and like little kids experience those sentiments. Not necessarily that they moved from one country to the next. I'm sure there are plenty that do that, but that idea of like having to start over and give up something that was working or felt like it was, the perfect situation to go to ground zero again is like an experience that kids will understand in some way, shape, or form, as long as the context is, for kids, not necessarily some like political whatever
Yeah.
up in it.
Heavy subject. Yeah.
Yeah, me, that's like there's merit in writing those things down, and like the understanding of what you're going through, or what they went through rather, and even what you're going through, in that sense of sort of talking to them afterwards, going like, what was that like, or how did you do this? It's some
Exactly. Yeah.
interesting sort of approach. Anyways, yeah, writing's fun. It's a matter of like, I'm not good at it. I don't think I will ever be good at it, but I think it's fun to put down an idea and know that it's mine and mine alone. And
Yeah, I think there is something, like you said, about being invested in your own idea, and it means a lot more because it's like coming from your heart.
yeah, it's I have you done school visits or like book readings and stuff?
Um, I did my first one again, challenging. So this year it's been a year of like doing new
Yeah.
things, and I'm just trying to push myself. But yeah, I did my first one recently, because I think as an illustrator, we don't really get asked to do that many. It's usually the authors that get asked
Yeah.
to do school
Yeah.
visits. So I think, no, I hadn't. But then I went to my local bookshop, Waterstones, and I was chatting to the manager there. And then when I got home, he sent me a message. He said, "Oh, you wouldn't be around next week. We've got a school event." And I said, "Oh," and again, it's that thing of pushing yourself. So you're kind of really excited they've asked you, but at the same time, you're also really
Yeah.
scared.
Yeah.
You think, "How am I going to do this?"
It's such a different vibe when you walk into those, and you can like, you're not just reading off something that was sort of a script given to you by the by someone else's authorship, and you can go like, oh, this is my story, I can sell it the way that I want, I can talk about the whole package in a way, and it does give a sort of approach to those sort of events in general that is, to me, really really fun, because it just changes the dynamic pretty dramatically. And so getting out and doing those events, and especially if you're writing your own here in the future, you're definitely going to have to do some of those events and getting used to that.
Yeah, and that's why I agreed to do it, because I thought, well, I need to get my, and I think the first time's always scary because you don't really know what's going on and you don't know how it's going to be. But then once you've done it once, the next time it's still a little bit scary, but less so. And I think, you just have to keep growing. Otherwise, you're just going to stay stuck in the same place, the same safe space.
So let me ask a sort of tangential question then, which is, as artists, we like to experiment, we like to try, we like to sort of push boundaries in general. And as someone who said that you go into an art store and like you're very tempted by all the wares in front of you, are
Mm.
that you look at and you go like, man, I wish I had tried this, or on the flip side, things that you go, man, this is going to be part of my process at some point when I get the chance to try it. So like the equivalent of my wife and I during the pandemic, we had a lot of fun playing with ceramics, and messing around with material that doesn't show up in my work today, but it was a fun experiment at the time. And I'm wondering, are there things that you would like to experiment with or try as an artist in the near future?
There's always, I love trying new things. There's always every opportunity to try. I'd love to do oil painting. I just haven't invested in that.
Yeah.
And also, I'm also not very good at sort of tidying up afterwards. Like I don't know. It looks a bit messy, doesn't it?
Uh-huh.
But I like the effects, and maybe one day I'd love to do oil paintings.
That's I've never been good with oils.
I've never tried.
Yeah, it's I think the challenge for me, and I don't know if this would be the same for you, but the immediacy of something that dries quickly, or something like, on the computer, you make a shape and you can refine an edge really quickly. In oil, it's sort of all fluid for so long.
That's true.
That to me, I want something to dry so I can go back on top of it quickly. Not necessarily that I want it to like to have colors mix into it or things of the sort, but everybody has their own little like variation of like the speed they work or whatnot, and it really depends. I'm also not a clean person as a collage artist. I don't dare show the floor around my studio space, because it is tragic. But
I've just looked at the Instagram, and I've just spotted a friend of mine, Alexander, who's just saying he's an artist, a fine artist. He's just
oh
asking me, he said, you can join me at my
yeah,
studio anytime.
well, I think you need to go do that then.
I'll be your assistant, Alexander.
You'll be there just to clean up the mess.
Exactly. I'll
Oh,
have to start at the bottom.
fine.
I'll have to go and get his lunch for him or something.
You'll be the true, like, what we call a gopher. I'm trying to figure out. I need your help for a second. I got two dinosaurs. I'm making. I don't know if you saw the sketch at the beginning of. I'm doing this.
Oh wow,
Well,
yeah.
because we're about to hit back to school in the next couple of weeks for the region, and so I'm trying to do a little school bus of kids showing up to their elementary school, and it's full of dinosaurs or has some dinosaurs in it. And I need a third dinosaur to put into this, but I can't think of, like, I want a small dinosaur or something I can put over here, but I don't know what. Maybe it's just a head sticking out the side.
Wait, so on your sketch, how many dinosaurs are on your sketch? Just two?
There's one, two, three, four, five, but they were pretty generic. So it was a tail and a tail and a neck and a T-Rex.
Oh.
This was something, I don't know what, but I'm thinking I probably just need to put a head sticking out on the side here somehow. That I just, balance wise with this color, I need like a third instance, and so I just need something. I just need to figure out what shape of head to put in there to make.
All these decisions.
Yes, I will figure it out. You don't worry about
But
it.
at least you can do it and then see, and you don't have to stick it down if you don't like
Yes, yes, that is collage right there.
it. Whereas my dog's gone a bit wonky, but never mind.
No, I like the I like the idea of, like, I can just slide something in, see if it works. If it doesn't work, then I can
Move it around a
Yep.
bit,
That is advantageous. The book that I'm working on right now, because I'm doing collage, it's the first time I've really done collage in a book, but it's also there's a lot more of, like, I can just prep a bunch of swatches of a certain color and know they will work on all the pages. I don't have to mix color constantly because I just make swatches, like tons of a certain character's color, and then I just have a catalog of swatches to play with, which is so much easier than having to go in and mix color every single time I want to paint a character. And so there are moments where this can be very, very handy. Let's put it that way. But there's also challenges with, I can't do it. Like, you were able to start painting stuff down in sort of whatever order you need, because you can paint around it. In this case, I have to stick stuff down in a very specific order, otherwise it doesn't work.
Yeah, so you need to kind of have a plan, don't you?
Yes. Yes. I have to have some semblance of sort of like the direction I'm going before I go. But there's challenges in all of this. So let's talk for a second about sort of the industry as a whole, and what is your favorite part and what's your least favorite part of illustration? Are there things that you go, oh man, this is the like, I wish this worked a different way? Like, obviously more pay. That's a
Definitely. I was going to start with that. Let's start with that.
yeah.
I think also sometimes I think illustrators don't get as much credit as they should.
In what way?
In as much as, well, I don't want to say the wrong thing here.
Are you illustrators don't get as much credit as the authors?
Yeah, there is
Yeah.
that. There is that for sure. And I don't know why that is, especially with picture books.
I mean, they're alphabetized based on the author, not the. That's
Yeah. And I guess I'm trying to get my head around it, and I think it's because I think it's also to do with the idea starts with the author, right?
Yeah.
So it's a bit like songwriting. It's like the writer gets the credit, and then the illustrator's more like the rest of the musicians, maybe.
Yeah. There's a someone's getting credit for the start of it, even though, and I'm like, it is a universal sort of challenge, I think, for illustrators that you're talking about. And
Yeah, definitely.
I think and I don't think I said this just a second ago. If I did, then my memory's shot. But they alphabetize the books by the author. There is no, I can't think of a single store that is alphabetized based on the illustrator. Or even though the illustrator plays a pretty hefty part in the making of a picture book, that is a sign that there is a little bit of a difference in sort of how things are prioritized. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, let's put it that way.
Yeah, because that's not, and it's no fault of the author. I don't think that's the author's challenge.
No.
There's a tendency to, and maybe, you know what, I bet you a lot of it's, and this could be me just talking out of my butt, but a lot of it's from the adult book world is focused on, there's not a lot of pictures in them, and so there's a lot of there's not illustrators, so they, the focus is on the author at that point. Maybe that has something to do with the predisposition to focus the author as the maker in a lot of situations. But
I think it's probably, it's difficult to pinpoint, but I think it's probably down to the fact also that without the author, first and foremost, there is no story.
Yep.
So it's like, so I've never, written anything. So working with other authors, like amazing authors, they do an amazing job. But if I wasn't illustrating their story, they would find another illustrator that would do another really great job. But it would be a different book.
Yeah,
the story would be the same, but it would look different. So, I think maybe that's also partly to do with, unless you're a really, 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 famous illustrator that they just have to have you, I think you're probably more, we can find someone else, Nila's busy for the next 3 years. We can't wait that long. We'll find someone else to do it. And it will be, and there are books that I haven't had the time to do, so they've got someone else to do it. And it's very different book. It's not how I would have done it, but, the books are great. There's,
I forget where I learned this fact, but at some point somebody mentioned to me that one of the reasons why, or one of the things that they do when you sign up for a book to work on a book is they pair you with, an author with an illustrator, and it's not always this like, oh, here's my friend, I want them to illustrate. That's not how that sort of operates. And people always question that, like, well, what if I want someone to illustrate this book that I've worked on? And the publisher oftentimes chooses who it is. Some of that is based on this idea that the pairing, you want to make sure you have someone who's sort of a little bit more of a known entity and someone who may not be as known together. And
Oh, is that how they do it?
that's what I've heard. I don't remember who said this to me, but that idea of like that you don't want to have two no names doing it because
Two no names.
and you don't want to have people unknown to the industry together because one, if you have someone that's known, they have a built-in audience that might buy those books right from the get-go.
That makes sense. Yeah.
To me, that made a lot of sense when they said that. I was like, oh, that totally makes sense why they pair people. But ever since they've done that, my first thought every time is like, okay, is this author someone that's really known? Or is this an author that I'm working with that is an unknown? And what does that say about me?
Yeah. Am I the unknown or are they the unknown? Yeah.
Am I the one that's actually like the sad sap in this situation?
Yeah. And who's the bigger dinosaur here?
Yeah. And so it's not a great thing to think about periodically, but it does happen.
Oh, because I thought I was just really lucky to be paired by really great writers.
Yeah, I know. No, I hope it's not true. I hope that's not.
Now I know the real reason.
Yeah. The real reason they've been doing that to you is they
yeah, I'm still the unknown.
Yeah. And I know that there's situations where like people go in and they already have a friend who's very good and that makes sense for a project, and it does happen periodically, but that pairing thing is such an interesting sort of like, why do they choose one person over another?
Yeah, I'd love to be in one of the meetings, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Like, why did they choose me for this book? Or is there like, I mean, when I started out, I don't know if you still do this of any sort, but when I started out, there was lots of like, okay, how did you find me questions that I would throw out right at the beginning, like, where'd you see my work? And part of it was just a sales thing, like, what marketing is working, what isn't. But I still to this day kind of wonder, like, okay, did they see me on Instagram? Did they see my books? Did they like, how did they come across me in some shape or form? And is it like, I don't always understand their reasoning for liking certain things that I do over others. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting one. I think, all these questions we need to find out, Mark. We need to aspire, like we need to be in the meetings and just listen out for like what makes them all tick.
That's have you ever visited any of your publishers?
Oh yeah. I have, because I love meetings. I love going to visit people. I think it's because I'm so at home a lot. So when they allow me to go into London, I'm like, oh yeah. It's quite an exciting time for me.
Are most of your publishers in London though? Or are you?
I've only worked with a few in America that obviously I haven't been to see them, but I would love more American work, American publishers. But yeah, my main ones I work with so far are in London.
I've never been to a publisher I've been to a publisher once that I've published with, but it was before I even got a job with them, and it was on a teaching sort of capacity. But I've never been to a publisher like after the fact. I guess I could probably just say, I'm in town, I want to come visit, and hopefully they'd say yes.
You should do that, because I love meeting people, and I think, as long as you're not weird, I think it builds I think your wife might say something. I think it builds connection, doesn't it? And I think there's something really nice about you can build long-term connections with people.
Yeah, it's I'm a bit of a homebody. I think my wife just heard the bit about
You being weird.
yeah, but that's where it came from. Um, yeah, no, I part of the challenge is a lot of the publishers I've worked with have been like in totally different areas of the world, and so it's not easy to get places. But there's a few of them that are close, and a lot of them. I don't know if you've had the same thing, but some of the publishers I work with now, everybody's remote. And so there's not really this like big studio practice like there once was. Uh,
Yeah, they still have studios, but they still have big publishing houses here, the ones I work for. Um, and it's always lovely to see each, like to go to all the different ones and see how they all work, because they're all, they all work slightly differently.
yeah,
Um, and I just love that. I love being in a kind of, I feel like a kid, like going to their parents, like they can take a kid into school, take a kid into work day. I feel a bit like that. It's like, oh, I get to go to work. And, I sort of clock in at the reception. I'm like, I'm here to see so-and-so. And I get very excited.
I was thinking like at her work, and I would like the whole time I would just play with a dry erase board, so, and or a chalkboard or whatever it was that was some drawing device, and that's what I would do. And it was less of a like I'm here to see you work. It was just a different place to play of sorts. With uh, the publishers that you worked with that are whether they're over there, over here, or whatever, are there publishers that still are like trying to knock on their door and break it down?
Say that again.
Like, are there publishers that you still want to break in with?
Oh yeah, there's loads of publishers I'd love to work for. I mean, I don't even know if it's. Are you supposed to be loyal and stay with your favorites? Like, I don't know what is good. Like, should you be touting around like trying to work with everyone, or?
I've worked only when it's like I've worked with two publishers more than a single book, but there's quite a few, actually three, I guess now. But it was just dependent on the book. Like I never had a consistent like, oh, I'm going to stay with you guys of any sort. It was because most of it was, I think if you're authored, then maybe it's a little bit of a different story that you want to stay sort of like consistent somewhat.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's super critical, to be honest. I think it's sort of just whoever has the book deal that you need, that's the one you go with.
Yeah. Don't overthink it.
Yeah. I'm gonna find
Because
out.
I need to earn money at the
Yeah.
end of the day. So whoever's, giving me a project that I want to work on,
Yep.
I can't just be like, oh, I can't work, because otherwise, yeah, you just end up with just one or two publishers and that would be it.
I mean, there are people that like work with the same publisher years and years and years and never shift of any sort, which sounds lovely. But at the same time, it's not my, like, I like the idea of variety. I like the idea of moving around and being a little bit more sort of fluid than that. But also, now I'm going to find out the equivalent of like finding out that they pair you with someone in that way. I'm going to find out that like the reason why I've moved around so much is that they don't like me. And we're only for this one. It's going to be some like variable like that that's going to haunt me for some time now.
Me too. I'm going to be questioning, like, why did you pair me with that person? What does that say? What are you trying to say?
Yeah. Just can you offer me a book with someone who's never written before, please? Because then that means I'm the star.
I'm quite happy not being the star, I think. I'm quite happy with, like, if it all fails and the book doesn't sell, it's not my fault.
That is, I had one book. Well, I mean, I've had some books that have gone nowhere. Like, they're fine books, but they just, like, they didn't sell or whatever. But there was a book, one of my authored books got eaten up by the pandemic and is out of print now because it just didn't sell. And it was, I think, the better of the two books that I wrote, but it died because the sales market just wasn't there for it at the time because it came out like right in the middle of the pandemic.
Oh no, they didn't sort of postpone it, or
No, no. I mean, again, maybe that's on me. If it was some like really good book, they would have postponed it now. I just found that out. Uh,
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Because I got really lucky with my first. I'd say my first major picture book
yeah.
was with. I don't know if you've seen it, Nature Trail.
Yep, I know the one. Yeah.
So that was one that, you know, I had done the circus book, the Mirabelle, Fearless Mirabelle, but that was, you know, my first book, and I'd done a couple of books, but I was still learning a lot on the job. And then when Nature Trail, that was with a publisher I'd not worked with, so that was with Hachette, and they booked me on that from a little sketch I did on my Instagram feed. And I remember I took my son at the time was about 8 years old, and we were on holiday in Cornwall, and I took him to the Eden Project, which is like this big massive greenhouse sphere thing. And so I took him there, and then that evening I thought, oh, I'm quite tired, but I suppose I should maybe document it and put it on Instagram. Like I just did a little quick sketch of my son as a little character and all these like massive plants around him. And thank goodness I did, because that was the picture that someone saw, an art director, and they had a book in mind, like Nature Trail, the poem. And so they'd never worked with me. I was, you know, that then I was like an unknown. And they said, you know, would you like to be paired up with Benjamin Zephyr? I was like, yes, please.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I thought, thank God I did that little sketch, even though I was really tired, because you just don't know where things like that go, do you?
Yeah.
And so, you know, that they were a little bit concerned. They said, well, Nila she's not that experienced. So to sell it to our sales team, who, you know, we need her to do a full page spread. Like, she can choose whatever spread she wants to do, but we have to show it to the sales team to show them what you're going to do. So I chose this one spread, and I really went to town with it. I thought, I've got nothing to lose. I thought, I'm just going to do whatever I want it to look like. And they just loved it. It was just it was amazing. They just loved it. They said, right, the sales team love it. They can see now how it's going to go. Now, the point of me telling you the story was, you know, so I carried on working on the book. They were really into it. And I thought, right, this is amazing. Like, oh, this is so exciting. And then they even said, we've chosen it to be on the cover of our catalogue for Bologna Book Fair.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, wow, that's incredible. I can't believe it. Like, little me, like unknown, you know. And then COVID hit.
Ugh.
And then Bologna Book Fair was cancelled. And I was like, oh, I can't believe it. I was going to be on the cover of their catalogue. And now there's no book fair. No one's going to buy this book ever. You know, but it's so out of my control. It's just like, well, there we go. You know, it's just,
Yep.
you know, the universe gives with one hand, takes away with another. And then what happened? So I really thought this book has got no marketing. No one's going to have heard of it. But it got launched, I think, just after everyone came out of the lockdown.
And so
It just hit the mark where all the parents were just like, this is exactly what we've been doing for the last 2 years. And it was a book that was just so of its time.
that's good.
The timing. So sometimes you just you think, oh, everything's against you and this is such bad timing. And then other times it does work out and you think, wow, I would never have thought that.
It's interesting that especially like mentioning that the timing of that hitting in such a distinct spot is such a like luck thing too. Like
you just can't time things like that.
Yeah, you cannot predict what's going to work and what's not going to work in these situations. And so like the equivalent of, like I said, the books that you think are going to do well, end up doing horribly, and the books that you think are going to do horribly end up doing well, and you can never guess. And so it's like there's part of me that just goes like, there's no point in trying to
Think ahead. Yeah.
like just make the work, and if it does well, it does well. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and that's not the end of the world.
Exactly. And I think it's so true. You just have to enjoy what you're doing
Yep.
at the time, because if you just need having fun and enjoying it and being playful and enjoying doing the work, then at least that's it, and the book doesn't sell, then at least you've had a good time making it.
Yep. You can chalk it up to there's value in it otherwise than just a
Financial gain.
yeah. I mean that's my MO in general is like the financial gain has never been the big winner in most situations. So it's always this like, okay, well, as long as I have fun doing it, that's the point. And I mean that's kidlit in general. Again, going back to the idea of like it doesn't pay as well as people think it does. And so as long as you're having fun and you have the ability to take the time and have fun, that you're not sort of like strapped with bills and things of the sort that change approach it, then everything's okay.
Yeah, I mean, there is that. I think it's just paying the bills, and it is scary because you just and the projects are very long. There's big spaces between payments, and
Yes.
you're trying to sort of make you get paid, and then you think, oh, I've got to make that last until my next book, or
Yep. Yep. No, the payment schedule has changed on how they do books now, which is frustrating. The shift to like you get paid partially when it publishes.
oh yes, I never understand why that's the case. Why do they do that?
I think that's to safeguard themselves if it doesn't publish.
Oh, I see.
But I don't know. I mean, there's some reason to it. I should probably like hit up my agent and say like, what's the deal with that? Explain that to me. But I'm sure there is some deal.
I think you're right. I think that makes sense. I think they're just trying to, just in case it all
Yeah.
goes wrong.
And it probably also is on their books like that it it doesn't hit their finances until the check actually goes out. So if they can hold on to that, their books look better at the end of the year. If it like publishes the next year or whatever, there's probably some reasoning that gets played into that. But yeah, it's a little gross in some sense. Some of those decisions that have been made like that.
Yeah, because it's a bit like sort of getting, like if you were hiring a plumber or something and he's
Yeah.
done an amazing job on your bathroom, but then you go, well, I'm not going to pay all of it yet.
Yep. You're gonna wait a year and then
I'm going to wait a year and see if I, still like it in a year.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yep. There.
So yeah, I mean, I try and get my agent to really minimize that last bit of the payment right down to as low as they can possibly give it.
I mean, that's in general just art. The way that people approach some of those, like, we the equivalent of how do I put this? What am I trying to say? I just totally lost it.
Oh no.
Oh, the idea of like exposure. Like you would never go to someone and say like, well, if you go and redo my bathroom, then I'll tell people about you, and that might lead to more jobs. Like no one.
Yeah, exactly.
And in some cases, the type of work that we're doing is like just as payful. That's not a word. We get paid the same amount as potentially like putting in a new bathroom, and yet somehow sometimes people look at it and just say, do it for free. And that's not fair to anyone.
No, I know. It's yeah, because they just think, oh, you're not paying for anything, it's just a bit of time. Like you can just whip it up, and it's fun for you, isn't it? That's the kind of mentality behind it. And it's just, no, it's hours of work.
It's pain. Sometimes
It is pain. It's
physical.
personal. You put a lot in, as one puts a lot of their soul into it as well.
Is there are there projects that you look back at now and go like, man, I wish I didn't take that project? And don't.
No, there's no projects like that at all. But there's projects that I think, oh, I'd love to redo that book.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yes.
Because I think I could do that better now.
I might say that with all of my books, every single one.
Really, every single
Yeah,
one.
I think every single one I would like to go back and like have the opportunity to enhance them of some sort. Like I think I just know more now, or I have a better understanding of my aesthetic or choices that I would make that would make it either a little bit better or like there's always something with every book that I've made that I go like, oh, that could have been better. And so I think it's easy for me to just sort of chalk it up and go like, yeah, I wish I could go back into all of them and tweak of some sort. I mean, are you happy with every book that you've done?
I think I'm happy with every book I did at the time.
Okay.
So say with the Fearless Mirabelle one, that was the very first proper picture book I did. So I think I loved that story, and I think I was learning so much on that job because it was all new to me.
Yeah.
And I did a great job for what I could have done at the time. But if I had that story now to re-illustrate, oh, I'd really go to town on that now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's my sentiment in general. It's just that like, yeah, I have a hard time separating then and now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Because you're
So
not the same person. With every book you do, you learn more. You learn more about the possibilities, and you learn more about yourself. So I think, we're not the same people. We're just growing all the time.
it's not only do I learn more, but I think I also like I I think I am uh more willing to challenge authority now
Hmm.
in the sense of like if an art director comes back with notes, I'm willing to look at it and go like, well, I don't agree with that, and here's the reason why. And I think when I first started, it was like, oh, that's what you think should happen. Okay, I'm happy to bend over backwards to do that for you in some shape.
Absolutely the same with me as well. I think it's only been recent, I'm very amenable, and I kind of, I love working in a team. So I think at the beginning I was always kind of like, well, what do I know? They've been working in publishing for years. They must know what sells books more than me,
Yeah,
an unknown. And then but now I think, well, actually, I've had that experience now, so I think I have a little bit more sort of I feel more confident and qualified to say, well, actually, no, can we try it like this?
yeah,
And I think there's ways of saying things. I'm not like trying to be a diva or trying to be difficult, but I say, oh, I actually really like that bit. Can we try and keep it in? But, sometimes they'll say, oh, yeah, no, we'll try. But then they'll have more rounds of meetings. And then, as a group decision, they say, oh, no, we still think it's not worth it. So I think there's always that conversation. You can open it up, but I think you still have to be open to, at the end of the day, I still have to know where I have to back down in certain places.
you have to know when to compromise, but also I think just that idea of like time in the industry, you start to learn I have a voice in this. They chose me for a reason, and they're not just asking me to come in and do what they say. They chose me because I have good decisions. Uh,
Absolutely, and that's what they're paying for as well. It's like
yep.
your expertise. It's taken years, and it's not just your expertise in it's not just my expertise in just children's books. It's all 30 years of experience in
Mhm.
design and doing other things.
It's all
Yeah,
those
I'd say I was finally qualified.
all those years talking to those dinosaurs. You learn something.
I did learn
Yeah.
something. Yeah, and it's just experience, isn't it?
It's. I mean, I definitely at this point in my life have I've come to the conclusion that I make decisions that are not bad decisions. And I think it took a long time to get to that point to understand or to believe in myself enough that I can go like, oh, I know what I'm saying. It's not me just winging it or um, uh, me
Yeah.
like I don't know what I'm trying to like what the phrasing here is that I'm trying to go with, but I have an understanding of how things work and I can trust myself in those situations now.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's your work, so
Yep. We hopefully it's my work. It's I'm not using AI. I'm not doing that. Uh
no, don't do that.
dangerous
But
ter-
look, you've added the dinosaur head now, which
what?
is looking great. You've added the extra little head, which works really well.
Yeah, it's just it needed something on that side. It needed a third instance. And I added a little T-Rex leg back here that needs some spots and things.
Yeah,
Uh
it's really well
look,
balanced.
all the kids. I haven't even touched the kids yet and we're already at 4:30 on my end. What is that? That's 9:30 on yours. Is that right?
Yes, but I think I'm gonna have to go actually, Mark, because my poor little dog's needing to go out.
So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna flip my camera down. I'm gonna
Okay.
flip it back this way.
Do I do that too?
You can if you want. Your face as a lovely send off. Yeah,
No.
you can say I don't want to look at you, Mark, and I'll be like, okay. Uh,
Wait. I'll flip it around again.
where are you? There you are. I had an amazing time chatting with you tonight. This was wonderful.
Thank you.
Across the board, I know that that you said you were going to play, and you turned out something like looking at it, it's adorable with the little crawling baby going across. I'm
I did go wrong at the beginning, but then I thought, oh, just keep going, fill it up with loads of
yeah.
flowers, and it'll be like no one will notice the mistakes.
I mean, my hope is that, and this is maybe a strange statement, but my hope is that the opportunity of you being able to play and just goof around with artwork is something you can bring back to your busy schedule and go like, I'm gonna find time to do it.
I think it's really important.
Yeah, it's and it doesn't have to be in this capacity, but just that idea of like taking time for yourself to be able to like devote to trying and
Yeah.
not just earning of some sort. And so
No, absolutely. And I think also like just I think play is really lost. It's a lost thing that's grown ups we don't do enough. But you know, I probably who knows, will I ever do a book in traditional media? Maybe one day. But I think when I do go back to using the iPad after playing around and being more loose, it really does loosen you up. And it almost like when you go back to working on when I go back to working on Procreate, it's almost like I flow much better. It loosens up the digital stuff.
I was talking to a mentee the other day, and I said that I have rules if I do anything on the iPad or again Procreate stuff that I'm only allowed one layer, and
Oh,
just so that like it's more like traditional. Like I'm not able to undo and move stuff around without having to do some drastic changes. And the other thing is that the idea of scaling, there's a limit on how many times I can zoom in, zoom out. So I'm looking at the whole at all times if feasible versus like being able to zoom in and get pixels and move them around. And so it's
yeah.
what I do. And so like that idea of finding the adaptation that connects the two processes together in some meaningful manner. And so like that idea of you going back and playing, there's got to be some like barrier of like, yeah, you can only use the undo button 3 times. And that's
Oh
what
my God, no!
yeah.
Anxieties.
Well, I watched a thing on Instagram. It was a demo they were doing, and it showed them trying to draw the lines, and they drew a single line at least 10 times to get it right, and they kept undoing it again, and then they moved to another line, and they did the same thing, and I'm just like, at a certain point, like you're gonna spend more
Yeah.
than you are making a piece of artwork, and so like that idea of like limit. That's what hit me when I saw that. I was like, oh, if I have to do undo, I have to undo only like I get 5 per piece or something like that.
Yeah, I know, because it's just never ending, is it?
Yeah.
And sometimes the scariest bit of the process when you're making a children's book, I find, is before it goes to print, or you think, is it ready? Is it ready? and there's always something else you can tweak.
Yep.
And sometimes I have to look at it like squinting, and I kind of look at it out the corner of my eye because I think if it's good enough and I can't see anything major, then let's just go with it.
Yep. You show it to someone and you go, do you see any issues? Or like, just don't even say that. Just say like, what do you think? And they'll love it. And you go, okay, good enough. Like missing this one thing, or it's like this color's slightly off. So anyways, this has been lovely. I had a wonderful evening. If you would do me a favor when it comes time to, if you end up posting what you made today, I don't know if you will or not, but if you do, would you tag me in it so I can see it?
Of course, of course. And would your lovely wife want me to send her the material? I was going to say ingredients, the materials I use.
I'm sure she would love that. She would absolutely love sort of getting the details. Do you know her Instagram offhand?
I've seen her pop up.
Okay, she's Mrs. Hoffy is her Instagram.
What's her first name?
First name is Lauren, but
hi Lauren, Mrs. Hoffy.
She's up here watching. She watches every single one of these from beginning to end.
Oh bless.
She's
right, Mrs. Hoffy. I will send you a list of all the things I've used today.
She would love that, and she is the producer of this thing, so she's behind the scenes. She's been doing all sorts of stuff for this. So some of the posts that I put up today, like even the oh, she just said hello. The posts that went up on Instagram saying, "Hey, this is going to be today in the story." That's all her. She's doing that stuff behind the scenes all the time.
See, the great woman behind you.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
I'm the pretty face.
You're the face. You're the beautiful face.
Yeah. You can see my.
And this is amazing hot woman.
So,
well, thank you so much for inviting me, Mark. It's been a pleasure. And there was nothing to worry about after all. At first, I found it a little bit hard to draw and think and talk, but it was, yeah, I could carry on chatting, but another time.
Okay. Go have a
Thank you so much.
Thank you again. Okay.
Take care. Bye.
All right, everybody. Oh, my ceiling. I don't know why that's so important to me that you don't see my ceiling. It's like it looks like it's a real like curtain behind me, not just a curtain attached to my ceiling, and it feels more like a real stage. But in reality, it's just a curtain stuck to a gross popcorn ceiling in my basement. Now you've seen behind the scenes. So I'm going to keep working. I still have to do all the kids in this that are going back to school. They're arriving on day one to a bunch of dinosaurs in their classroom. Here's what I'll do. I will, let me jump to this. So again, this is the sketch that I'm going from. As you can see, it's really highly detailed, beautiful artwork. I don't even know. Did I spell elementary right? Please say I spelled elementary right. So it's got some buses, and it's got a kid there. That's that. And it has since turned into this thing in front of us. Originally, I was going to do a bunch of lines. I don't know if I'm getting to that. We'll see. So let me pull this back up and zoom out to the right distance here. So I don't even know if you can see like some of the details. I'm putting in some like little spots and things on the Dinosaurus there. But I'm going to keep working here. Why is this all crooked? Let's see if I can get this. So if you have questions, what I'm going to do is you got to learn to let loose a little with your sketching. Are you saying that that's too tight, Lauren? Ask me. Okay, let me see. I'm going to post this comment and I'm going to pin it. And so if people have questions, throw them in the comments and I'm happy to answer where I see fit. No, where I can, I'm happy to relay information to y'all's. Ooh, this cord is in my face. There we go. with your sketching. Just kidding, obviously. You weren't kidding, Lauren. That was too real. That felt vicious, malicious, delicious. Is there another word that rhymes with that? There might be. I can't think of it right now. Suspicious. Oh, I got one. Am I doing all the dinos the same color? Yes. I am doing. Did you notice that the dinos are all the same color? Pernicious. Ooh, good one. There's probably other ones I can't think of right now that I'm trying to think. Like, what could be another one of those words? Flamlicus. I don't know what that means. I'm gonna put a. I don't know if I like that. Till next Gavin Doodle. Yes, LT Star. Yes. Absolutely. See you then. What I want to see, the plan of attack for these kids, I think, is I'm going to put them in either in this blue. So I'm just going to cut out like, let's see if I cut out a little shape here and try this. Or I'm going to use this blue. I don't know which. With the idea of like, if I were to cut out a little kid out of this and then draw back on top of it, you'll see. You'll see. Yes, the next Gavin Doodle is with Miriam Bowes. I put a little apostrophe mark in that, Lauren. Oh, you got it. Never mind. I see underneath. Bowes. The Bowes knows. Bo don't know diddly. Do you think that Miriam Bowes is going to know that ad from the 90s? Bo don't know diddly. In fact, how many people on here, first of all, know that ad besides me? So I was thinking, like, I would do a little kid like this. That's a question. Autocorrect did it. Autocorrect did it. Sure, put the blame on autocorrect, Lauren. So who's going to ask me a question? Who's going to ask me a question? No one? No one cares to join me in conversation? No one dare ask? Let's see. This is... leg like this and then that leg like that. There we go. So like it may be something like this, and then if I draw on them, let me put some little faces on them so we can see what we like better. Something like this, something like this. I do have a crazy hot pink that I can use for like the nose on these. Something like that. Mild Doodles, what's my favorite dessert? That's a tough question. Why would you ask that? No, it's funny because I'm trying to think like what is my favorite dessert? I like ice cream. I like specifically. I like uh, 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 cookies and cream ice cream. I think it's good. Generally, no matter the brand, it hits. It doesn't need a lot of effort to be good. Let's put it that way. But I would venture to say maybe candy. I like candy. Is that dumb to say? I like candy. I just think I like candy. Snickerdoodle is good. Okay, let's see. Are these dry yet? They're probably pretty close. Let's see. I was doing a little test run with these because if I can get these figured out, then we're sort of.
Poppy, remind people about mentorships and what that is.
Okay. So my wife's yelling at me again, everybody. I said remind people about mentorships and what that is. So I do mentorships. Done. No, I do mentorships with people throughout the summer and beyond. But the idea is that if you're interested in some kidlit or illustration advice just in general, that I'm happy to work with you on sort of talking about style or talking about industry or what have you. I have lots of folks that have signed up over the years and seem to enjoy it, which is crazy. And they I just basically I go through. There's different types of ones. I do just a portfolio review, which is a single session. I do multi-session ones where we can go a little bit deeper dive into some of the content, and I give assignments, and we do critique and all sorts of stuff like that. And if you look on my Instagram feed, I think it's the first post right now is pinned, so you can see it at all times. The setup for that. So if you were interested, you just let me know. I'm happy to give you more info. I'm trying to see what happens if I put in something like this, like maybe some little kids that look like this that are on their way to school. Who can benefit from a mentorship? Everybody, even myself. I get to know people. I talk to them about their work. I give them advice. Anybody from someone who's never done illustration before, which is crazy. How could you never do illustration before? To someone who's done it for years. In fact, I'm working with a mentee right now who has been doing editorial stuff for I don't even know how many years. And they're looking at getting into kidlit and needed some advice on sort of how to manage it and what to do. And so I've been helping them, and it seems to be going good. Seems to be. They won't tell me. They.
You have worked with someone who had made several books.
My wife is yelling down advice on what I should say. And she said that I've worked with someone who's made several books. And I helped them with some of their dummy stuff to send off to agents and things of that sort. And so it's been good. If you're interested, you let me know. I'm happy to relay and give you info. I think I like the textured one better. Let me see. I think the textured one works better. And so it can be just this little like kid walking along here like, what is going on? What's at school? What's happening, yo?
You don't have any books coming out soon, do you?
I do, Lauren. My wife asked me if I have any books coming out soon. Um, I have a book coming out. Is it September 2nd? September 2nd. So what is that? That's like 3 weeks away, roughly. Is that about right? I know, September 2nd. I'm trying to figure out how many weeks away. I think it's about 3 weeks away. Um, and it is the next in the Penny series, and it is a book called Piggy Bank Saves the Day. And it's about a piggy bank who rushes to save and doesn't learn the rules of saving and why you would need to take your time saving. And so it's a fun romp. And so that's from Page Street Kids, and you can go out and get that. You can pre-order it today on all major book selling sites. You can go ask your local independent book seller if they have it in stock, and if they don't, tell them to get it in stock, because that's lame if they don't. Sound about right? I'll put that kid right there. Or your library. Good. Yeah. What I was saying, if your library doesn't have it, you ask them and you say, hey, can I get that book? Guess what? They probably will. They probably will. So what kind of advice can I give, folks? What's the question du jour? How can I help? I'm trying to get this eyeball in here. I'll put one over here too.
Papa,
Hold on, my son's yelling at me. What?
the book can be stored anywhere.
Can be.
In a freezer.
The book can be stored anywhere, even in a freezer. That's what my son just said.
Yes.
Now, just as proof that my son is not the brightest, there you go. That gives you an example of what kind of brain power he's working with. And now he's hearing that. All right, let's see. Let's get these in here. I'm going to put a little hot spot on here so there's a little headlight. I'm going to put some black lines on this. I'm going to put some other little odds and ends throughout this, but this gives a sense of what can be done. Here, let's put a white line on this. It's a nice painted line. There we go. I wonder if I should do like a little kid in one of the apple doesn't fall from the tree. Mild Doodles, how dare you? How dare you? Can't believe that you would say such a thing. Good thing my son doesn't know where you live. Oh man, he would be out there. Or me, I guess. That shows how smart I am right there, that I didn't connect the dots. But it's a good thing we don't know where you live. Or else, man, oh man, we would be out there in an instant trying to challenge you on that one. Attacking our ability to be smart or lack thereof. This is a tiny little school, I just realized. He's okay though. He's okay. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put this kid in. I want to put him in there. Decision is made. Kid goes in. Kid goes in like this. He's stepping down off the bus. What I'll probably do is give him I'll trim his foot on one side here in just a second. Let me get in here. Give a little blip blap of glue there. I feel like one of my lights is going out periodically. Okay, come on, people. Ask me questions. Ask me questions. How can I help? What do you need help with? Be a question about anything. Anything. I'm not scared of questions. Why would you think I'm scared of questions? I'm not. I'm brave. I'm a big boy. Where did that little piece go that I had for the kid that was going to be up here? Oh no. It was a tiny little piece. Is it on the piece somewhere and I just don't see it? Maybe, maybe not. Doesn't matter. I can recut it. It's not that big of a deal. But I thought it was still there, but I guess it's not. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna trim this like so. I'll put a little kid that's just barely sticking over the edge of this. I'm gonna put a little hand so there's like a kid in with the thing here. Is anyone watching Project Runway or Drag Race or Alien Earth or Love is Blind UK or Resident Alien? Because my wife and I are watching a bunch of those things. Although we haven't watched Love is Blind UK, but I guess that's there now. So I guess that's what we're doing tonight, right, Lauren? I assume. We'll find out in a second once she answers. Last night we watched Alien Earth. That seemed pretty cool. She got creeped out by a part of it, the first episode at least. I wasn't as creeped out. I'm strong, I'm tough. So I'm not like scared by it. So there. That's what I say. What do you think of that, everybody? No one's asking questions. I want questions, people. I want questions. A little paint in the hand right here. The hand. That's just a little kid peeking over the dinosaur. Does anyone have any good drawing games that we could add to Game Doodle? Oh yeah, we do need to do a Game Doodle soon, huh? When was the last one? They're supposed to be every 3 months. Supposed to be. Doesn't mean they are. They're supposed to be. All right, hold on a second. Get this as sharp as possible. My son's Pokemon thing is here now. If anybody hears the it's here screaming from him in the background. That's what that is. Okay. Oh. There we go. It's very loud. I can hear the pencil sharpening on the feed upstairs. I can hear it. And then there was the marker right here to do a little nose. Boop. In fact, on this one, I'm going to do 2 little dots on the nose. A little kid there. Once this one dries, I can do some of that. I need to do more kids going in. So let's cut out some more kids. Let's see. One, I can probably be a kid, but what I'll do is maybe I'll put a couple heads showing up in the window of the bus. Right here. There's like a kid here. Let's put one right about there. Yep. There we go. Something like that. And where was that other scrap that I just had? Oh, right here. Maybe another one. Slight back right here. Ooh, those are tiny. Those are way tinier than I thought they were going to be. These are the little kids. These are the elementary school kids. They're not elementary. These are the kindergarten kids. They're in here. Sitting in the bus. Right there. So I'm going to probably do like a couple of kids. Like one back over here. One here. These. Maybe a few other little touches. But I think I'm going to keep it relatively simple how many kids are in this. I don't know if I want to do a ton. I like the idea that it's enough to add some confusion, and some variety, but not so many that it gets cumbersome. Okay, let's see. There's a kid there. Let's try cutting out. I was going to do just some legs over here of a little kid. Good. Cut right. It's hard to cut little tiny things. Everybody know that? It is. In case you didn't know that, it is. Especially with big clunky scissors like this. I want just enough that I can have like a little hint of legs going up behind this dinosaur here. And maybe a little bit behind the school bus. Just like that. And then I can draw on afterwards. Okay, let's see. So let's see if I can get this pinned in there in the right spot. Needs to be enough that I can see a little bit of the toe. I think I like it better like here, honestly. Let's try that. Right there. And then what I gotta do is cut the dino bit out there, and the same thing with the bus. Gotta cut out that bit of leg that sticks over the bus. Stick down toe. Supposed to be stuck down there. There we go. Trim that for the best I can. Please tear. There we go. Let me a little kid back there. I'll draw. This kid's gonna have some plaid. There we go. Put in some of these other things. I'll answer that question, Miles, in 1 second, because I think it's a good question. So the question is, do I ever tear pages, or paper rather, to get them to, before I stick them down or anything of the sort? And the answer is no, generally. I will use X-Acto blades and some other things, but for the most part, I like the hard edge. And if I tear this paper, there is not the colored paper, but if I tear something like this, there is a little white edge that shows up to it that I don't particularly like. I mean, if I want to do something like clouds or something like that, maybe there's some point where I do that. But for the most part, I don't really do the tearing because I think it causes more challenges for me in the sense of the way that the edge works against the hard edge and the texture. Like it probably doesn't show up as much as I think it would, but it is a texture that I'm not particularly fond of in the work, or I think is counterintuitive to some of the other lines and things that I've chosen to put in. And so I tend to shy away from it. I think if the whole piece had something like that, maybe, but I like the harsher line, to be honest. I think it benefits the piece with the up against such heavy texture. Essentially, I think it works nicely. So I don't know if that answers your question. Hopefully it does. But let me get other little eyes in here on these guys. I think the idea of eyes that are at different heights on these are fun. And then I need to do like 2 more kids, like one here, and then maybe one here, and leave it at that. Somewhere in that range. And I need to put in little touches of cheeks on some of these. And I draw in the little mouths. Oh, you know what he needs? Eyebrows. This he needs. Little stinky eyebrows too. I don't know why they're stinky, but they're stinky. And then I also need on the dinosaur, I'm going to take this and put a little shadow underneath those hands so they sort of pop a little bit more. I'm going to do some other spots and things on some of these, but for now, I can leave those out. Where are we time-wise? We're at 5:03. Oh, I'll get this done. Okay, good. So some stuff I need to tackle with this. One, need to put in some like brickwork. Out in here to sort of imply what this building is made out of. I'm just doing it real subtle like. Ooh, look at that edge coming up. Ooh, buddy. Let's get that glue out there. Let's see. Why are the dinosaurs in the classroom? They've heard there was a thesaurus there. Bear Edwards. Bear Edwards. What is wrong with you, my man? Wait, there was something else. Oh, no, that's the same thing. Teacher Marin, thank you. I always wanted to do a book. There was a book that I wanted to do that was, I forget what I wanted to call it. I had a title for it at one point, and it was about a dinosaur who bumped into things. And it was built around the idea of sore ass, like a dinosaur ass, which is a really dumb thing, but and it was about a dinosaur who bumped his head because he was growing so much. I'm trying to remember, there was some punny title that I had to it. Do I want that mouth? I don't like that mouth. Okay, never mind. Bad mouth. Let's get this purple back in there. Okay. And now let's see. I'm trying to figure out how I do the mouth on this one dinosaur right here. Maybe I do it with this. Hold on, I'm going to sharpen this. There we go. So it can have a little extra long mouth on him. I'll put some extra little lines around on these. I'm not sure how many toes are on these type of dinosaurs, on a T-Rex and stuff, but he's got two. He's got two. That's enough. That's plenty. It's plenty of toes. This guy's gonna have some purple spots on him. Should I put some feathers? No, that's too much. Oh, dinosaur. That's what it was. My wife, dinosaur. There's probably something there, but it'll be some time before I get to it. I've already done a dinosaur book now, so not like it's on the top of a list of things that I need to get done. Okay, let's see. Let's cut out some of these other kids. Oh, first let me get these ones done, and then I will do the other ones I gotta cut. So I need noses. Okay, let's see. The question is, where do I need these last? Okay, it's like a kid here. That's too big. Let's scale that down a little. It's like a kid here. And then, do I need another, a sliver of a kid right there? So like, that'd be kind of funny, honestly. I wonder if I can get a little sliver that will fit that, is the question. I don't know if I can. Let's see. This would be so small. I'd only be able to see like a tiny little bit of them. It'd be kind of funny to have a kid packed in right there. Maybe that's it. Is that enough? That's probably enough. Okay, so one there, one there. And then I will do finishing touches on things after that, which is not a lot of, like, no more sticking down, basically, is what I mean. Final looks, as they say on Project Runway. Final looks. So let's see. This one, I'm going to try to fit this little sliver in here. What I will do is try to line it up to the edge of the dinosaur first, and stick it down, and then cut away the excess that sticks out past the window here, because that's easier than if I come out here and do this. That's a little better. I feel like this one needs a little sliver of arm, honestly. So let's do it out of this little scrap. There's a little something that's like right here. That lines up. I'll shrink that character down a little bit. For some reason it feels big to me. So shrinking that character is good. Yes, has school started for everybody? That's a good question. I have my first meetings next week. I mean, I've been dealing with school stuff over the summer, but first school stuff next week. But when does school start for everybody? I know there's some regions of the U.S. already have school up and running. Like down by my parents down in Tennessee, they already are in school. Which is crazy. Kids sort of compacted in there. squished in there. There we go. Okay. Wonder if I can get some hands pressed up against the window there. Where is that? Was this one? Is that right? What color was it that I was using for the cheeks? I think it may have been this one. It's probably good enough. Okay, and then I got to cut out one more kid. And it's a question of what shape that kid should be. I'm going to draw out that kid first because that might make it a little bit easier. So I want to get kids that are stepping up on you can put some long, actually maybe I'll do pigtails. So maybe the back of the kid's head. Like that. Okay. It gives me the basic setup here. Let me get my scissors. Okay, let's see. Let's start with that bottom leg. Let's bring it up here. And then let's bring that little leg out like this. I don't like that cut. It's a bad one. Let's try this again. Let's chop off the bottom. That'll give me my height for that foot. And then get that arm in there. Ugh. So hard to cut. Question of, if I do that, I need to make the head just a little bit smaller. That doesn't interfere with those windowsills all that much. Let's see. There we go, like that. Okay. I think that should work, and then I can design all around that. Now what I might do is extend this hair like this. Okay. And then where did that little person go? Where did that little person go? There we go. Where's the cap? There's the cap. Press it down. We'll go with that set before I'm done. I'm gonna start as soon as this live stream is done. Nice. Watch some potentially icky people fall in love with icky people. Okay. Put in some let's see what happens if I put in some little pink fluffy clouds here. Little touches of them. Not much. Might even come back in with a little bit of purple. So we get two different tones in it. Whoa, whoa, sorry. The clouds have a variety of color happening. Try to make these lines a little distinct. Okay, same thing over here. Might touches there. Little touches under the windowsill there. Okay. There's also a question of should I put a little, and I don't know if this is crazy to do this, but would it be strange to put a little dino down there in that corner? Where's that ink? Let's see. Got a little bit of time. I'm waiting for this guy to dry a little more and then I'll put them in. That's the question. Do I want to put, because right now it sort of seems like two bands that run across there, and I'm wondering if I want to do oh, you know what would be interesting is if I did, I'm trying to cut it out a little bit differently here. Trying to figure out if there's a way to like make a triceratops. That's like, yeah.
You have a question.
I have a question. Tips for getting out of creative block. Yes. Okay. Let me. I don't think this is gonna look good down there. I mean, I could try to color it differently, but paint it differently so it feels like some stuff is behind. And let me see what happens if I do that. Okay, so tips for getting out of creative block. Solid question. The first thing that I would say is remove yourself from looking at others, i.e., don't get caught up in trying to replicate or look at others for inspiration. The problem is if you look at others for inspiration, you're always going to be comparing yourself to someone else. And that isn't always the healthiest thing in the world when it comes to making art. So I would sort of separate yourself from that. What I would do is I would go out and spend some time doing something that's tangential to illustration. So it's okay to go out and make artwork of some sort, but I would be mindful of not doing the exact same practice that you were doing before. I.e., if you're doing illustrative work, maybe go out and spend some time doing some landscapes or doing something that is, not the exact same variable as the previous iteration, just so you're not trying to live up to some standard again. The other thing that I would say, and this is a thing that I have partaken in, that I give to my students. In fact, I just mentioned it to, or just had a mentee that I was sort of explaining this to the other day, is the idea of spending some time sort of breaking habits and breaking material choice. And so if you're someone that's digital, get off digital. If you're someone that's traditional, hop on digital for a second. If you work with your, what do I want to say, like, if you're someone who tends to work with your right hand, maybe work with your left hand for a little bit, just to get yourself so you're not putting expectations on your ability prior to the sort of, or not prior to, but instead of going in and trying to worry about quality and worry about performance in those situations. I think if you can separate it and say, I am not worried about the quality that's coming out of it, I just need to get into the habit of making, giving yourself a opportunity to say, I'm going to play with material without any expectation. And I think the challenge is if you start to use the same material or the same approach as you did before, there's always this expectation that, oh, it's supposed to come out the same way that it was prior. And so if you can remove that out of the equation and you're literally doing something wildly different than what you did before, well then your expectation level has shifted, or you're not getting caught up in the same trap, essentially. And so I think that idea of forcing your hand in that manner would be good for you. The other thing that I would say for getting out of creative block is to get away from imagery and try a different creative method that allows for what's the word I'm looking for? Allows for you to circumvent what the expectations are. So like the equivalent of spending some time writing for a little bit. So you're just coming up with ideas. You're not thinking about how it's going to be illustrated, but you're just thinking, okay, well, what can I do if I had this material, or if I had the opportunity to do A, B, or C? How are you going to, separate to the point where you're actually just saying, okay, I just need to get ideas down that are independent of visual manifestation. And if you can do that, potentially you can get to a point where you're not getting caught up in the sort of end result, and you might have the ability to create something that's unique or different or independent from your production method, and therefore potentially when you go to make it, you're going to have to make some decisions that are new and challenging, but also force your hand to do something slightly different than what it does prior. So one of the things that I like to do is lateral thinking or parallel thinking. There's a couple different terms that sort of basically mean the same thing, and the idea is that you write down a word that you want to accomplish, whatever it may be, and then you sort of find alternates to that word or variations on that word and continue to break it down further and further until you get to a point where you have words that are in the same vein but not your original sort of approach. So I will give an example here in a second. Let me, in fact, while I let that dry for a second, a little bit longer, I will draw what I'm talking about here. So if I take the word sad, I can very easily go, well, sad is represented by tears, frowns. I'm going to say clown, sad clown. I'm going to say loss. I'm going to say, I'm trying to think of something else. Well, we'll do this for now. So loss, what does loss mean? I'm going to say marbles. Someone's lost their marbles. I'm going to say someone lost a loved one. I'm going to say someone lost their breath. And now I'm going to say tears. I'm going to say water. I'm going to say eyes. I'm going to say salty. I'm going to say cheeks. For frowns, I might say lips, etc. down the line. So I'm going to break all these down. Clown, I might say nose. I might say funny. I might say polka dots. And now I might break those down again, another variation. So I might say, ooh, ready to watch this one? Butt cheeks. I might say rosy. I might say plump. I might say pinch. And I'm going to keep building this word out over and over and over again to the point wherein I'm removed from that original word sad. And I start to say, okay, well, can I put lung, let's say pinch, and sure, we'll say polka dots together and represent sad. And so, like, okay, if I want to draw something that's lung is a weird one. Let's get rid of lung. But let's do something like a loved one. What if it's a picture of a clown who is slowly peeling up polka dots off of a dead clown, and he's pinching them with his fingers and peeling them up. So here's my clown. He's got a big nose. He's got hair, and here's another hand coming in, peeling those up, and it's a ceremonial, like it's like the equivalent of when they bring when a U.S. soldier passes away and they bring the American flag that was draped over the casket to the loved ones, that maybe there's a bunch of clowns in the background who are adding a polka dot, like a colored polka dot from the dead clown, onto their own outfits. And it's their way of remembering their fallen brethren. And so that's a variation on sad that is not a pure, like, oh, it's just someone crying or it's just someone frowning. It's got this whole complex story that's built from just those words. And so, like, again, that sidestepping and saying, I'm not going to get caught up in the details of exactly, what am I trying to say? I'm not going to get caught up in all these words that potentially are, not words. I'm not getting caught up in the big idea. I'm breaking it down into smaller pieces. And so the idea of lateral thinking or parallel thinking is that you're sort of laterally stepping past or around the issue that was challenging to you. So if you are someone who struggles with the coming up with an idea, part of the problem is you're walking headlong into it. And so if you can sort of step back and not go directly into that path, all the better. I don't know if that helps of any sort, but that's the method that I have used in my career to sort of solve some of the challenges or some of the thinking and idea building that potentially don't come 100% naturally to me. What light is, I have a light that is it this one? That's sort of jumping at me. So the question from, let's see. When you create personal piece, do you prefer to paint what you like to paint or challenge yourself of topics, objects, and things that I struggle with? I like to do things that I struggle with. I think if I just did stuff that I love, I think it would be probably a bit too generic. Like I would have too many of the same pieces, and two, I think I would fall into some similar traps. Like in other words, I would keep drawing the same style, not necessarily style, but the same sort of variation over and over. Like if I'm drawing a bear, I tend to draw a bear the exact same way a lot of times, and so it would get monotonous. It would not have the same pizzazz potentially as if I try to vary up what I'm drawing, just because I will get new applications that challenge me. I also think that just challenging myself in general is a good thing to do. So rather than saying I'm just going to do the same old, I think it's good to sort of throw myself a curveball that I have to somehow address at some point in the work. And so I tend to give myself a challenge. And the challenge doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be this huge thing that like, oh, I need to do the most perfect piece or anything of the sort. A lot of times it's just like in this case, the idea of not a lot of black was a concern for me. So like the only spots that black show up are this little railing, the tire, a few lines, and then on the kids and eyeballs. But like majority of this is not done with a heavy, dark application yet. It still has enough vibrancy and enough pop for it to work. One of the things that I was concerned about on this was also that I didn't want to have to do tons and tons of what do I want to say, like I didn't want tons and tons. Why is this so hard for me to figure out what I'm saying? of colors on things. Like I want it to be a little bit more flat color, so line does a lot of the work on it. And so in a case like this, that idea of the kids being a single color, the dinosaurs basically being a single color. There's not a huge variation in color. There's yellow, blue, pink, and purple in this. That's basically it. And so it's a matter of like where I place things, how I place things, how much detail I put into things that really is the selling force behind what I'm doing. Just trying to. All these dinosaurs have the same spots on them. I'm just kind of getting these colors in to get some variety. And now I'm going to stick down. This is going to be my Triceratops that's sitting down here in the corner. That's sort of raring to go. So it's got a little bit of an imbalance because right now it just feels like there's two stripes. There's one stripe that goes that way and there's a stripe that goes that way. And so I want to throw something off. And so this little touch of Triceratops down in the corner will do the trick. I was a little worried about sort of what kind of dinosaur I put down here. But I think that the Triceratops will do the trick. I do not want it touching that though. I want it like right there. That's the kicker. Right there. Just enough, and then this guy's going to have some little spikies on the back. Maybe I'll have to do these with paint. Honestly, that's probably the best option. Let's put these in with a little bit of paint. I'm trying to, I just lost that color. Hold on a second, let me get this color back in the mix. And put it off there. Do is like every other one, slightly different color. These to be a little bit on that brownish side. I will draw back on top of them eventually, but just get these little plates. Plateosaurus? I don't know. Get those in there. Get that guy stuck down. There we go. Get some of that color off there. Come back and get this brighter pink. It's totally not how these dinosaurs look, but I'm not one for accuracy. I'm one for vibe. As long as these look like they have the vibe of a dinosaur, then I'm good. So like the equivalent of, these don't have to be perfect, but I'm going to put some little hints of horns in there. And then I'm going to, where's my blade? There's my blade. I'm just going to cut this. I think it's easier to cut that and stick it around the corner better. There we go. And so these will have some little touches of like lines and things in them to help get these populated. I can hear my wife working upstairs with the doggy dogs. There we go. And then, oh, I need to do this kid still. Let's do this. I need as sharp as possible. There we go. And they're going to have well, originally there was going to be pigtails. I guess there's not going to be pigtails. I'll take this little. I will touch it. There we go. Okay, now, last little looks. I'm going to do a little, that's not the color I wanted. A little touch of like gray where they're stepping. Go. I'm going to try to, as best as possible, any other nice big old stinky brushes. That's not the one. Where is the brush that I had? Oh, it's right here. I'm going to try to amp up, because I think my hand has just made this darker as time has gone on. Smudges and things of the sort. I'm going to try to amp up this big roof line here. And then I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to touch in this. Oh, shoot. I almost forgot something very, 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 very important, which is that kid trapped up there. For some reason, that's the funniest one to me, is that kid trapped up there, sort of smushed in. I'm glad I put them in there. Let's see, is there any other little touches I want to make? That's the make these wheels just a little bit more pure with this black here. The only other thing, I mean, I could try to do a little flag or something of the sort, but I don't even know if it's necessary. I'm trying to think if there's any other little like touches that need to be in here. I mean, do I want to put some with pigtails? And then where do I put them? It's a bummer that I forgot about that when I started to draw that character in. Because it would have been cool to have that figured out at that point. Let's get a little more paint on the brush here for that. That just kind of was very, very thin. Let's try that again. Actual paint. There we go. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to add to the conversation here before I wrap for the night. I'm not going to rap. I don't rap. Rip, rap, rippity doo. I don't do that. Let's see. Go in here and touch those up with a brush potentially. So a little bit more. Of a punchy white, along with the base of them. An extra layer there. Same thing here. And then same thing on these. Real quick. And that may be it. I might not want to do too much. What do we think? Lauren? Okay. Is that because it's dinner time? I think it's done. Yeah, you're done. It's time to move on. You're done. Donezo. Done. With so many Easter eggs, I don't think there's a lot of Easter eggs, but I think you mean like little things to look at. How do I make sure that there's focal point? Color. I guarantee you're looking at those dinosaurs. I guarantee it. I guarantee that you're looking at those kids. And it's just the saturation and value and those kinds of things are the hallmarks of where your eye goes. Composition's added in as well, but I chose that pink for those dinosaurs for a reason. The only other thing I could consider doing is just like little touches of sun that's breaking off there, but I don't know if it's necessary. I don't think it is. I can probably like just let it sit as is. Call it a day. I see two little spots that did not reach the top. One other one right there. Just making sure I get those all the way to the top of those. And I think that's it. I think that's it. I think I've done it. By George. I did have this other color to throw in if I needed to, but I don't think I need to. I think we got it solid enough. Now that one and this one, that would be way too much. But I'm going to put these colors back over there. I had this one in there in case I needed to push that in, but I don't think I need it. Good. I like that it's clean. I can walk away at the end of the day happy with the fact that I'm not putting in too much. So, Lauren, as a reminder, I did use that paper. And I did use Panpastel. And I'm cleaning up. Well, what cleanup looks like in this studio. Which is, I grab up as many scraps as I can like this. And I'm just cleaning off the surface of my desk. The floor is still a mighty mess. Okay, one last thing. Which is, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to grab this blackboard. I'm going to come in with my piece and stick it down in here. And we'll leave it at, whoa. It's funny because not all the texture shows up. I mean, I did use, like this yellow has different variations in it, but you just don't see it right now. Hopefully you'll see it when it goes to the, when it gets digitized. Where's my eraser? It's up here on my desk somewhere. Where did you go, eraser? Where are you hiding? If someone sees it, yell at me and say, hey, I know where it is. Where is it? Look at it go. It's gone far. That's weird. I seriously don't know where my eraser is. I just wanted to touch one little spot. It's not behind some of these other colors. Is it there? No. Did it fall down? There's a cat in my seat. Is it on the floor somewhere? I don't know. Alright. I have other erasers, so it's not a big deal, but it's not like underneath that, no. It's here on my desk somewhere. It doesn't matter, I just need to find it. But in the meantime, I will use this other brand new Pentel high polymer eraser. And I need a blade to slice it open though. It's not behind the glue. That's weird. I mean, I know it was out there earlier. There's no way I put it in my, no? Was it? Wait a second. Did I bundle it up in my trash? I did. Ha 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 ha. I got it. I don't need this new one. I do need a new edge though. So I'm going to cut. I need a nice clean corner. So I just cut edge. I'm trying to get rid of a little schmutz right there. There we go. Okay. Here's my piece for the eve. My back to school tribute. Put it that way. Next week I have Miriam Bose. I believe it's via BOS Bose, I think. If it's Boss, that's even better. She's a boss. To be on with us. And they are at 2 p.m. on Thursday. No, next week is on Wednesday. I apologize. It's on Wednesday at 2 p.m. So it's a little shift in days, just to remind you. And then following, we have Matt Hunt on, and that one's back to a Thursday at 2 p.m. Otherwise, Desi Rotkina? I'm not sure. It's beautiful. What paper do I use? I use both right now Strathmore tracing paper with paint on it, and then what is this kind of paper? I don't even know what kind of. Just some fine cardstock paper. In this case, yeah. I don't know. This one says fine cardstock. I don't remember if that's the exact brand of that hot pink one, but it's somewhere in there. And I just buy stockpiles of paper and use away. But yeah, that one was in here. Oh, look at this! I even had. I don't know if this is a slightly different color. I have just some variations on colors of different things like reds and purples and blues and stuff, and every once in a while I'll throw those in. But it's those, and then on illustration board with acrylic wash. So otherwise, you all have a lovely week. I will see you next week on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Bye, everybody. Hugs and kisses.